Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Overnight, an isolated shower or storm, mainly between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., and then dry the rest of the day. Low of 62 and a high of 83. Turns a little warmer, a little more humid Thursday, partly cloudy skies. Friday, 85 for the high, but we do have a chance for storms in the afternoon to early evening. Some of those could be severe with wind and hail, the main threat, so we've issued a First Alert Weather Day to make sure you're alert for Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The fighting spirit of the Marine Corps is born of battles won. Battles won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's a promise made to you for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It actually happened. Some public school teachers at a public charter school right here in St. Louis kicked the union out. Now, there's still a deadline to make sure all of that is final. We're going to get an update on that here in not quite an hour or so. But could St. Louis, of all places, possibly be part of the beginning of a movement to free up workers, especially teachers, from those left-wing unions? Well, we're going to talk to our friends at National Right to Work about that right around 6:35, so just under an hour from right now. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike. Happy Thursday. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of the day. Our friend Carl Higbee, you know him from Newsmax Television. Of course, he hosts Frontline with Carl Higbee every afternoon, was on with us yesterday, and the conversation did not go really the way I thought it was going to go. He's got a new book out. It sounds fantastic. I actually ordered the book while we were talking, but we also got into talking about not just electing the right people to keep government under control, but being the people that government can't or won't want to control. Here's what Carl had to say. It really gave us some things to think about.
You cover the news like we do, on Newsmax TV. Want to get your thoughts on some of the things that are happening, because once I'm looking at everything that's happening, obviously Donald Trump's dominating the headlines. You've got the warrants for the Mar-a-Lago. That information came out with that. Obviously the trial in New York, which the defense is just resting. And it dawns on me just a little bit ago, Carl, that we've got all of this dominating the headline news, which I think is backfiring against the left in ways they didn't anticipate. But I also want to think, after all these years in the business, what are we not looking at? What should we be looking at that is not in the headlines that they don't want us looking at right now? That could be things like the southern border. It could be, the gun control efforts, could be all sorts of things. But it's really frustrating that we have to have an instinct that says, okay, that's what's in the headline. What should I be looking at instead? What are you seeing right now?
Well, thanks for having me on. And, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things I try to cover on my show is like, if there's something shiny right in front of you, like what's on page 2, and you've got a number of things that the left has been doing this forever. And I think the biggest thing that we're not paying attention to is Republicans are always trying to get people elected to Congress or state legislatures and things like that. But people like, Soros and the other far left radicals, they're worried about local elections where you have a DA where only 200 people show up to vote in an off-year election for this guy, and he's the one who chooses whether to enforce or not enforce the law. So you can get everybody you want elected to Congress or the state legislatures, but if the people who are tasked with enforcing the law don't bother because they're bought and paid for by Democrats, then it doesn't matter. And that's the left, for having such stupid policies on so many stupid things. They are so smart when it comes to how they integrate into the system and take it over, like almost like a virus.
Good morning, Carl. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So we've seen the results of that virus all across the country. A lot of cities are in really, really bad shape. The formerly beautiful places like San Francisco are literal crap holes these days. Yeah. So what do you think the pushback is going to be? We keep expecting a political pushback of some sort. We're starting to see a kind of a cultural one. But are we actually going to see some real changes come through, or are people just going to sort of settle in and call this the new normal?
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem: is there's so many. I always tell people call me all the time. They're like, "We got to do something." I'm like, "Okay, do it." And they're like, well, and I always tell, just be the person that you're waiting for. Turn around and do it yourself. Get out there and, get signatures, run for office. Well, I've got kids. And then they say, well, I've got this. All the things that people list as excuses are not excuses. They're in fact reasons they should be doing more, but everybody is waiting for someone else to do it. And this is the problem. It's like the left has all this money from all these activists where they pay people without jobs to go do the things that they want to do. But Republicans, we got to go out and earn the money so we can pay the taxes that pay for the handouts that the Democrats give to everybody. So yes, I realize it sucks to go to a school board meeting at 9:00 at night and listen to some bureaucrat pontificate about, tampons in the boys' bathroom, but you got to do it. You got to get loud. You got to stand up. You got to do these things. And if people aren't doing them, then the left's just going to win. And I always, my wife is, God bless her heart, but she is not an in-your-face person. She's very intelligent, loves to get involved on a granular level, but she's not an in-your-face person. And I always tell her that the fights nowadays you don't pick are the fights that you lose. So you have to pick every single battle, unfortunately.
Hey, Carl, it's easy to get overwhelmed when we're being hit by so many fronts, and that's probably part of the left's MO. That's probably part of the strategy. Overwhelm us. So is it a matter of I've got to be a jack of all trades and be ready to push back against everything? Or is there a case to be made to say, you know what, I'm good at this. I know this topic. This is where I'm going to take my stand. And man, I really hope somebody can hit back on the other area. What's the right approach? Because it is so easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. And you know what, I never encourage anybody to go break the law or anything, but be hard to govern. That's what it comes down to. Like during COVID, yeah, I mean, people were like, hey, how do you get away without wearing a mask? I'm like, well, I just say no.
Just don't.
What do you mean? It's a mandate. I'm like, well, I'm a 250-pound Navy SEAL. Find somebody big enough to slap it on my face.
Amen, brother. I love that.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because we've actually said on this show, because we've got one of, we've got literally three in this area right here, a county executive, a mayor, and a governor of Illinois, then the mayor of St. Louis City on the Missouri side, and then a county one, who were some of the biggest tyrants when it came to the COVID shutdowns, all those sorts of things. We've been arguing, be ungovernable the next time they try this, because they are going to do it, Carl. Because they got a taste of what the power is like. And so many people said, well, the political person said I have to do it. I guess I have to do it. And it took years for them to even start questioning. And that's the part of the entire discussion I think that scares me the most, Carl, is that people don't have this instinct to say, no, you will not. You will not take control of me like that. I don't care what your elected office is. I won't do it. And we've lost that so much. Is that part of where the profiles and freedom concept came from with your book?
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, you've got a bunch of people in life in the history of this nation that did extraordinary things. Like some of our founding fathers, when they decided to risk everything for this country, were like 20 years old. I mean, most people who are 20 years old now are eating Tide Pods playing beer pong. Right? These guys were crossing the Delaware, liberating a nation. And even before that, I mean, there are so many people that have an untold story, even people that George Washington, Ulysses S. Grant, Frederick Douglass, and even Susan B. Anthony. You've heard all these names, but this book is like a series of really quick stories that you can read like one a night, one chapter a night with your kids, 5 to 8, 10 pages that tell the backstory of some of the people that did remarkable things that like you'll read this and you'll be like, I cannot believe that they did this much at that age for the cost of potentially treason.
Carl, I don't want you to spoil the book, but give us a little bit of taste of who we're talking about and what sort of stories people can expect to find in your book.
Yeah, so I mean, we cover some political leaders, but people that you've never heard of, like Thomas Dermer, who we're talking. This guy was born in the 1500s. Okay, William Bradford, William Penn, and obviously Hannah Penn, but also people in there like Andrew Carnegie, and they always demonize the industrial leaders of this country. But we really dive into in these 5 and 8, 10-page stories about how impactful they were. And I think you'll read some of these things, even like people like my father, who's very historically literate, very well read. He was reading some of these stories and it's like, wow, I had no idea the impact that Henry Ford had, the guy who, outside of Colt invented the assembly line as we know today.
Hey, good morning, Carl. Stalponticus here. You made a slight reference there to reading the stories for kids. Is there any chance that this may come out as a kid's book so that parents could use it to read the stories to, let's say, 4, 5, 6-year-olds?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I wrote it, so there's no big words in it.
A lot of pictures?
No pictures, ironically. I fought for that. They said, you know what, Carl, let's keep it with no pictures. But at the end of the day, it is really made, it's written in a having a beer around a campfire mantra where it's not, I'm not trying to like over-educate people because like I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of that fancy stuff. So this is written in a way that you can be having a beer around a campfire and understand how these people change the course of history. And I always tell this is like someone somewhere at every single time in life. And I dedicated this book to a guy in my life who was my high school wrestling coach. Okay. He's a math teacher. His name's Brad Wallace. Fantastic guy. He's not a fancy guy. He would never say he's anything special, but this guy had such a meaningful impact on not only my life, but, hundreds of other kids in his 30-year career because he just didn't put up with my crap. He was just a good person who told you it's like everything you do every single day changes the course of potentially history. Be the guy that makes everything better. And that was like one message that I carried through my entire life. And so I dedicated the book to him because I think we all have somebody in our life that maybe not is a huge, important person with a big name and a fancy house and fast cars, but change the world through other people.
We're visiting with Carl Higbee from Newsmax TV. You can catch him every afternoon on, obviously Newsmax TV. And so, Carl, when you talk about Profiles of Freedom, I want to connect where we started and where we are right now as we wrap up here next minute or so. And that is, we've talked about the loss of freedom. We've talked about the misdirection that we're seeing. We're basically talked about people feeling like we're losing control of not just our country, but our community and sometimes our own lives right that. So how do we connect what you're doing with this book to try to give people maybe that confidence or the encouragement or some sort of tool or resource to set things back, if not changing the world or changing the country, maybe changing it something in your own community with the stories that you've found?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to even the outside the book. It just comes down to giving a darn. Like there's so many people today, and this is like what we were talking about earlier with the COVID thing. It's like you just got to care. And if things get bad enough, you start waking up the people who just want to be left alone. But at the end of the day, it's like the reason we got to where we are. I always say the country can survive a Joe Biden, it can survive a Barack Obama, but it can't survive an electorate dumb enough to keep electing these people. And it just comes down to the fact that people don't care. People don't do the research. People don't want to know. People don't understand the history of how we got to where we are. And if you just start caring, 5 minutes a day, spend 5-10 minutes listening to your radio show, listen to a podcast, anything to just get informed, you have no idea the impact that'll have on your generation and for future generations, because once you know things, it makes democratic policies nearly impossible to impose.
All right. The book is called Profiles in Freedom. It is looks like it's going to be shipped out in another week or so. It releases on June 4th. Carl, does that sound right? June 4th, I think it is. Yeah. So, but it is, it has been added to our News Talk STL book club. So you can find it newstalkstl.com. I'm literally about to place the order for it myself right now. But what else is in the works right now for the program?
Well, actually, I was sitting in bed last night watching reruns of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a great show.
That's a great one.
And this U.S. Army ad came up, and it was like the entire ad was talking about how this woman joined the military to sing in the chorus. And I'm sitting there, this is the stuff that drives me absolutely wild, because our U.S. military, your sole job is to kill bad guys and break things. Don't put commercials out about singing and about feel good and two moms and all that. Just kill bad guys so they don't come to my country and kill me.
We want the people who get excited about the idea of protecting America by killing bad guys and breaking things. Those are the people we want.
I joined because I was good at war. That's why I joined.
There you go.
We want those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get things going with that morning news dump. Going to have the first one of the day coming your way here in about 2 minutes and 19 seconds. A little bit later on, a public charter school has kicked the union out. The teachers voted to decertify. What does that mean for them? And could this mean St. Louis is part of a movement to free up the teachers from these labor unions? We'll get that update right around 6:35 right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. News, analysis, opinion.
This was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration.
Chaos erupts on the University of Texas.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
He asked me to pay off an adult film star.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
News Talk STL.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable final expense life insurance policy. Regardless of your health condition, you could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, what's next for a local left-wing rag now that the RFT has been sold? And we've now got the update on the teen girl who cracked another girl's skull. What's next in her legal situation? And listen, Q, I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm just going to casually point out that the Cardinals have won a number of baseball games lately.
Oh.
I'm not going to label it. I'm not going to call it anything. I'm just going to point that out here. Okay.
I haven't been paying attention.
Good man. All right. It's 5:50 right now. Quentin is in for Stell today. All right. Here's what's happening kind of around the country, around the world, and around the area. We're going to start with one of these hearings in Washington, D.C. that's looking into the whole COVID mess. And it's not even so much about the virus. It's about the lies that went on around it. A former advisor for Anthony Fauci testified to Congress about past emails And those emails revealed that he specifically tried to delete email messages that had to do with the origins of COVID-19 during the entire shutdown era. Of course, media says pandemic, and, basically it was a flu virus. Dr. David Morans apologized to lawmakers during the hearing, but said, he just couldn't recall if he deleted any records regarding coronavirus or not. The email itself was directing people to respond to him to his personal email as opposed to his governmental email, and specifically said, I now know how to make these disappear after Freedom of Information Act requests come in. It was very explicit now that email's been disclosed. Congressman Brad Wenstrup, he's a Republican out of Ohio, was on the Ingram Angle on Fox last night, had some thoughts on that exchange.
One, he says we have to protect Tony. The other thing he says is Tony doesn't want his fingerprints over any of this stuff to do with origins of COVID. So it tells you right there what he was doing and working outside the box illegally, and we're pursuing this in every aspect.
And what's happening now is that the more we learn about this, the more it appears that, well, it was not just a cover-up, but it was likely a criminal cover-up, and it was all to protect government power and cover their asses because they were wrong. And also, even the Biden administration and the Department of Justice are now acknowledging that the coronavirus, COVID-19 as we know it, came out of that Wuhan lab in China. That's not a conspiracy theory anymore. It's now just accepted as fact. All right, a St. Louis judge rules that Marnice DeClue will be tried as a juvenile. Now, she's the teenager seen on the video in that fight with Kaylee Gain. That fight happened near Hazelwood East School, where both girls were students. Gain suffered brain damage. It's not clear from the video who started the fight or why the fight happened. The judge cited the fact that DeClue does not have a criminal record as one of the reasons to keep the case in juvenile court. Yeah, that's a really horribly tragic situation. We'll get into more detail on that in less than about 10 minutes or so. Okay, President Biden continuing to cancel student debt. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre making that announcement yesterday at the White House.
Today, we announced that the Biden-Harris administration canceled student debt for an additional 160,000 people, meaning 4.75 million Americans have now benefited from our debt relief actions.
Okay, what the White House is saying is that the average student loan debt per person is around $35,000 per borrower. Congressman Byron Donalds was on Kudlow on Fox, and he's got a little different take on this, Q.
The Supreme Court has told Joe Biden no. The Congress has not voted on anything like this for student loans, but he does it anyway. That is a violation of separation of powers. It's an impeachable offense.
I think the young people would say, oh, snap.
I mean, it's funny he does that for the student loans and not the border.
Right, precisely. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's just unreal. All right, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was asked about the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, who, as you may know, was killed in a recent helicopter crash along with some other Iranian officials. Now, remember, the U.S. Department of State and the White House sent official condolences to the people of Iran, who they say were mourning the loss of their president. So literally, we're so sorry for your loss of the butcher of Tehran. That was our official position on this. Prime Minister Netanyahu was on Hannity last night on Fox and says, you know what, he is going to send condolences as well, but he's sending condolences to the innocent people of Iran who suffered under the butcher of Tehran.
They've killed them on the sidewalks. They don't let them raise their voice. They promote terrorism around the world, but they also do horrible things to their own people. So I offer my condolences to the Iranian people, and I hope they get rid of this tyranny as soon as they can.
Yeah, the crash also killed the foreign minister of Iran. Now, remember, the butcher of Tehran was a strict adherent and proponent of Sharia law, and tens of thousands of people were slaughtered at his hands by his orders because of his strict interpretation of Islamic laws. So Benjamin Netanyahu, Q, showing a backbone that we're not seeing in the White House.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. The Riverfront Times, according to multiple reports, is no longer.
Shock.
Gone. Kaput.
Wow.
My guess is the website will still be there. There'll be something at the website. At least it won't be the same RFT as St. Louis has known for decades, about 46, 47 years, something like that. The entire staff was laid off yesterday, and news broke that it has been sold. So there's no word on what, if anything, is going to become of the publication at this point, but it seems clear that it's not going to be locally based. So if you are looking for, that weird kinky hookup thing, I don't know which back pages you're going to look at now to go find it. And by the way, if you want to get your so-called social justice journalism, I don't know where you're going to get your. That's the funny thing I want to talk about here in a little bit is people are like, what about the journalism in St. Louis? Really?
Not Riverfront.
No, okay, that's what we're going with. Let's talk about. I think 620. Let's have a conversation about that, because that's the funny thing that I'm seeing across media is like, this is such a blow for journalism. And okay, all right. Well, officially there was one game on the schedule, but the Cardinals racked up 2 wins on Wednesday. All right, here's how the math works out on that. Okay. Q is like, man, this is early. What are you doing? First, they won Tuesday's game that was suspended because of the rain, because they had to complete that on Wednesday. Final score in that one was 3-1. After that, the Redbirds came from behind, won the series finale, final score 5-4. Mason Wynn had a home run in the 7th inning. That actually gives the Cardinals their first series sweep of the season.
Wow.
And the first time the Orioles have lost and been swept and not lost. First time the Orioles have been swept in a series since 2022.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Columbo and Katie.
Harrison County Board of Education is punishing and suspending 13-year-old girls from being able to compete in their sport because they didn't want to compete against a boy. Meanwhile, protesters violently taking over buildings and breaking the law and threatening violence, they're not being punished, but these 13-year-old girls are.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Attention farmers. Is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM Productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Central Texas, latest part of the country to be slammed by powerful storms. Torrential rains, hail, a suspected tornado causing property damage. While in Greenfield, Iowa, there's a lot of debris to be cleared away following this week's severe weather. It left at least 5 people dead. Crews continue combing through mountains of debris. Today, there's a threat of unsettled weather across a vast area, stretching from Texas all the way to New England. High winds collapsed a stage during a political rally near Monterrey, Mexico last evening. At least 9 deaths, more than 60 people injured. Former Donald Trump challenger Nikki Haley. Who will you be voting for?
Haley dropped out of the GOP presidential race 2 months ago. She and Trump had been sharply critical of each other. But speaking at the Hudson Institute, Haley said,
I will be voting for Trump.
Haley says Trump has not been perfect on many issues.
But Biden has been a catastrophe.
Even though she's been out of the race for months, Nikki Haley is still getting support in Republican primaries.
Trump would be smart to reach out to the millions of people who voted for me and continue to support me and not assume that they're just going to be with him. And I genuinely hope he does that.
Haley earned more than 21% of the vote in Maryland's presidential primary last week. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The big holiday getaway is underway. AAA figures 44 million Americans will travel over the long Memorial Day weekend. And the FAA says today will be an especially busy day in the skies. 54,000 flights expected to take to the air. Look for the roads to be crowded this afternoon and this evening as people head out. Then again on Monday afternoon and evening as they head back home. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures up 32 points. NASDAQ futures 176 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Laura Trump provides a fresh and honest perspective on the issues that matter to you on the Right View podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The number of Americans, and I think this is part of the problem right now, the number of Americans getting their news from TikTok quadrupled in the past 3 years. It really kind of terrifies me for what is to come for this country.
Subscribe to the Right View on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Zero Res knows there's nothing more important than the health of your family, and the health of your home has a direct impact on that. And that's why they have this great offer for the month of May. Book a cleaning now and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Keep your home clean and healthy with the pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurologic component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the ruling is in, and the teenager who cracked Kaylee Gaines' head will not be tried as an adult.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Got the details for you here, guys. 6:05 right now. Gabe's here. Got Quentin in for Stell. All right, after almost half a century, the RFT appears to be no more. So what's next? We're going to talk about that at 6:20 because there's a lot of people lamenting the fact, and we'll talk about this at 6:20, Gabe. It's like, where are we going to get our social justice journalism? Where are we going to get our left-leaning media?
Yeah,
I don't know where we're going to find
I
that
saw
in St.
all the
Louis.
headlines. I was like, are we supposed to be sad?
Yes.
Am I supposed to be upset about this?
Where
Like,
are we going to find that perspective in the news?
'cause I'm not.
Somebody who looks at it from the left. I don't know how that's going to happen now.
It's a hole in the market.
Yeah, that's what's funny is it's a market response is what's happening.
Yeah.
But to see all the people lamenting, it's like, I don't know how we're gonna overcome this.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna miss the interesting perspective from the river. Are we?
Really?
It's like, I keep asking these questions. Like, is this really sad? Are we going to miss them? Are there not already lots of perspectives from the left? Pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Hey, they were good for one thing. Weekend activities.
Oh yeah,
They
you know what?
let
List of concerts.
That's a
and
good
a lot
point.
of
That
food
was
stuff.
the reason why I followed that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We do need the list of. Although I think
I'm
there's
glad that's what you said and not like the stuff in the back page.
Oh, I have no clue what that is.
Good
On
answer.
Instagram.
But we do have this thing called Google.
Right.
So, it's just like local events, St. Louis. It's like
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that's the prompt.
Well, let's talk about that at 6:20 here as well, because I mean, if I go to see, for instance, my wife's out of town, I'm like, hey, what concerts are going? I got a Friday or Saturday off. I don't go to the Riverfront Times. I look at events on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. Now, occasionally, if I'm walking out of like the gas station or something, I see one of those headlines. So, like, that does give me content at least. I could talk about the garbage that they have on their front page. So I'm gonna miss that.
Let's do that.
They are a content farm, or they were.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So we'll talk about that at 6:20. So I got a question from Blues Nut on Rumble. Blues Nut, you're gonna have to wait till 6:20. That's called a tease in order to keep you listening.
There you go. That's what it is.
I am a professional.
Yes.
All right, Marnice DeClue. This is all the years I've done media and stuff. I don't know that I've ever actually openly used the name of a juvenile criminal suspect before.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Remember, her name was her family put her name out there trying to raise money for her legal defense. So that's why she's reported. We know who she is. Marnice DeClue will be tried as a juvenile, not as an adult, for the charges related to that fight that left Kaylee Gain in the hospital with brain damage. So this decision was announced yesterday. Of course, the juvenile court officer in the case recommended that she be tried as a juvenile. The judge has the final decision, and the judge agreed with that ruling there. And so this means that the range of punishment that she could get should she be convicted, and we don't know that she's going to be convicted, it's much different and would end much earlier in her life. The idea being that if this is a juvenile crime, a juvenile offense, that she still has a chance to start with a clean slate as an adult.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, we all saw the video.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, I don't recommend you see it.
I haven't seen it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not being flippant.
It's disturbing.
It's really disturbing.
I thought it was.
But what the video does not show is why the fight was happening and who started it.
Right.
We don't know who the aggressor was. We know who ended the fight, but we don't know what started the fight. Now, there's a very good argument to say it doesn't matter. The fight was over and she kept intentionally smashing her head against the sidewalk. And the sound of it was just horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's rough.
And so that's where, the attorney general, a bunch of others, because a bunch of politicians jumped in on this, and they should have stayed in their lane and left it to the local authorities on this. And now we've got a situation where Kaylee Gain, I think she's 17, I think 16 or 17.
I think both. Well, yeah. Marnice is 6.
Well, she's 15.
Almost
15.
15. Okay.
Yeah. And so she's going to be tried as a juvenile. Everybody in town knows that she's the one who cracked Kaylee Gain's skull open.
Everybody watched it.
And you saw immediately people start to sort of gather in tribes. And what was really tragic, in addition to Marnice DeClue's life is never going to be the same. In addition to Kaylee Gain may not function as a normal adult later in life, is that it immediately became a racial thing.
Yep.
That's what it happened.
Like both sides immediately went to, oh, look at this black girl picking on this white girl.
Right.
That's really what the story became, and it was very sad to see.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened, but maybe not.
And that's the thing. I actually don't think that's what happened.
No, because we know that Kaylee Gain was suspended for fighting with another kid a day or two before.
Right.
So all of this juvenile stuff that we're not supposed to know is way out in the open and being reported at this point. And as hard as I am on public schools, Hazelwood East can't be blamed for this.
Yeah,
it didn't happen on their property.
This all happened.
Yeah,
like blocks. I think
a block or two.
A block or two away from campus. Yes, it was near campus. It was like post school, so everybody's
Right.
kind of walking around. Got their phones out. But yeah, this wasn't something they could have prevented. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't even in their jurisdiction.
No.
Right. So
no, because people were like, we want an investigation into the school, and some of the Republicans
Mhm.
were that. And I'm like, listen, guys, I'm as hard on the public schools as anybody is, but this ain't it.
Mhm.
Don't be careful what you ask for.
Right.
If you want them to monitor your kids off campus, then guess what? That extends their authority to 24/7. And there are some schools that have tried that. They're
Yeah.
like, well, we're watching their social media, and if they're doing something that's bullying, we're gonna step in because it could affect what happens in the classroom.
Now, one thing I've seen, and we on the right have seen this, where schools extend their little fingers outside of the bounds of the school. It's like, hey, you showed that rifle that your dad got you for Christmas on your social media, and we think you're a danger to the school, so we're going to suspend you until we investigate.
Right. And it's none your business.
None your
business.
Mhm.
So be careful what you're asking for, because you see an opening to go after somebody with whom we disagree with ideologically.
Yeah.
Still, remember, there's a proper rule of government. So what do you think? I mean, Marnista Kluwer being tried as a juvenile in this case, just based on the limited amount that we know.
At first, the main thing I was worried about was the savagery of the attack. I was like, man, that's rough. Is because I've been in some fights, I've seen some fights, and there's a point where the fight's over. And when you continue past that, it's like that dude's out. You see this in MMA, right? We quote unquote cage fighting, where he's like, hey, he's out. Everybody stops. That didn't happen here. And that's a level of savagery that you don't even really see all that often in people who professionally fight. So that's what kind of made me think, man, there's something wrong with this girl. But maybe what they've seen, and the juvie officers were, we got to trust them on some level, right? Maybe what they've seen is like, no, this was kind of a crime of passion thing. This was very much this is outside the norm for this girl. So we don't want to destroy her life because of this thing. Maybe that was the reasoning behind wanting her to have that clean slate post juvenile sentencing.
And with every point that makes a good point, there's a counterpoint.
There's always going to be a counterpoint. Yeah.
I mean, so you hear this. I mean, she's going to be tried as a juvenile.
She's 15.
Right.
She's growing. I'm not giving her an
Sure.
Mhm.
but she's 15.
Right.
Like it as savage, like you said, as it is, it's just hard to try her as an adult and just ruin her life forever.
Mhm.
Well, here's the counterpoint.
Yeah,
here's the
there's-
counterpoint,
yeah.
because that's a valid point.
That's legit. That's legit.
That's the point of the juvenile justice system.
Right.
Mhm.
But the counterpoint is, but Kaylee Gain will never have a normal life now, most likely.
Yeah.
Because
That brain damage
and it looks to me like, you look at the thing, it looks like she just snapped.
I think that's where the lack of evidence also comes in.
Yeah,
If they could
and-
have proven that who started it, who's
Right.
the aggressor.
Right.
I think it'd be different.
And so we may or may not know. And I'm telling you right now, there is a chance that she won't even be convicted if we get more of that information. I mean, if
If they
it's
do the
possible.
whole acting in self-defense thing. I mean,
Right.
I guess if the lawyer can convince do they do jury trials in
I don't
juvie
know.
courts?
I never
Mhm.
had the pleasure of being involved in the
In the
juvenile,
juvenile
court
court.
system.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Alex, for not dragging me into juvenile court. But I still think though that that's a hard sell. Like if I'm on a jury.
The right to trial by jury in the United States by Constitution belongs only to adults.
Okay. All right. So this could just be in front of a judge.
Most likely
in juvie court.
That would be my guess. But
all right. Still though, if I'm a judge, that's a hard sell that going that far into the fight was self-defense.
Right.
Because I saw the video.
Oh yeah.
Like, Kaylee Gain hit the ground and she was out. She was gone. And then the girl continued, and that's where the permanent damage that we see was done.
Yeah, because they literally had to remove part of her skull to allow for the swelling.
Swelling, yeah.
And they're going to she's got to go through another surgery to put it back.
Right.
On there. So it's just an ugly situation. There are no winners in this at all.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we don't know who the good guy and the bad guy is, or if there are any good guys or any bad guys.
Right.
That's what I think has got people so caught up in it. And unfortunately, a lot of people have taken this into like the drama, us versus them thing, instead of just saying this is a tragedy all the way around, guys.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Now, typically, this type of stuff would just be flying under the radar. This would be a local story at best. But the thing is that video became a thing,
Yeah.
and everybody shared it, and once it went viral, okay, now the entire country has to be involved in this conversation,
And they made it racial.
and then they made it racial, and then that made it worse.
Yeah. And then conservatives pounced on one. I mean, for instance, like, when the politicians and some of them were like, well, here's my official statement. We don't need an official statement.
No.
And these are my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, these are literally people that I've gone and had beer with in bars and stuff. And I'm like, you don't need to be in this. Let it go. Let the juvenile system handle it. If they try her as an adult, and there's a lot of people who say she should be tried as an adult. And I think they've got a lot of good points on that. But it's like, we don't have to make everything about politics because it went freaking viral on social media.
Exactly.
We don't have to do that. All right. 314-912-1019.
I'm reminded of some good advice that I heard not too long ago, but never miss an opportunity to shut the F up.
Yep. Very good advice. Very good advice. All right. The Riverfront Times, as we know it, no more. You've loved them. You've hated them.
Have I loved them?
You've looked for discreet escorts in the back pages of them.
Oh no!
I'm trying to think of like what you would find on them that I could say on the radio.
They hold a special place.
Yes. Maybe you got
One way
your
or
concert.
another.
You found your unique date to the concert.
There you go.
Unique date to
How
the
about that?
concert. This was prior to the apps, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's pick up with that.
Okay.
Because people are like, how could this happen? How could the Riverfront Times go under? Well, it's called the market. So let's talk about that. Is it really about journalism, or is it about the market? Let's talk about that right around 6:20 here. Because honestly, though, the Riverfront Times is an institution in St. Louis that is ending. So we'll talk about that at 6:20.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill, and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
And this is the actual precedent set why Bernie Sanders cannot have a 32-hour work week.
The Department of Labor wishes to report that the workers of Fredonia are demanding shorter hours.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes.
Where's Fredonia?
Oh, it's right.
Oh, here we go.
It's on the southern part of Gooberstam. Yeah. And of course, Rufus T. Firefly was the leader of Fredonia.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
The 80s music hits different, doesn't it, Q?
Hold on.
And you're going to be here tomorrow.
I've got a lot of songs in my playlist now because of Everybody should.
That's right.
Nice.
I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that the 80s just had the best music.
I think so.
I don't think that's controversial.
I
mean,
so.
I'm just stating a fact. Science backs me up on this.
I think a lot of even your generation, as you discover 80s music, you're like, oh,
yeah.
it's like,
Don't put this generation music.
Man, out up there. Okay, there's a lot to unpack with the Riverfront Times going under. I mean, it's kind of funny watching all the social media posts lamenting the apparent demise of the RFT and the thought that journalism is being lost in St. Louis with the demise of the RFT.
Is that idea actually being floated currently?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's what they're running with.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
And so here's the thing is I am not against left-wing media being in the marketplace. Listen, we're conservative media. I mean, I'm more conservatarian, but we're here. We're saying this is the way we view the world. We are life through a conservative lens.
Sure.
And this is how we talk. Now, I make room if you disagree with me. If you want to call in or send me a message or something, hey, I try to get you all the facts as confirmed as I can get them to you and then tell you what I think of them. The Riverfront Times, not journalism.
No.
That's what's funny is they're like, this is a big blow for journalism. How are we going to recover? Where are we going to find social justice-y left-wing media? I don't know any place in St. Louis not called News Talk STL, maybe?
All the things.
Oh, my goodness. By the way, believe it or not, some St. Louis teachers voted their union out. Yeah, we've got the update for you, 6:35.
That actually happened then.
It actually happened.
Okay. We were talking about ahead of it. Yeah.
Yep. And so we've got the update. They voted it out. Now, there's still a deadline that's got to come to fruition for it to be final. And we're going to talk to Mark Mix from National Right to Work at 6:35 about that. Okay, so here are the basics. The Riverfront Times is sold. The staff is now unemployed. They've laid everybody off.
Right.
So somebody bought the entity. And as we know it right now, as we understand it, the print edition of this is probably done.
Right.
So the boxes everywhere with the, thing where
at the grocery store, you can get it
everywhere. Now, that means that there's still a website and social media presence. It'll be something. Whatever national group is the bottom will probably filter in. What they'll probably do is aggregate from other sources and then somehow, put something out there and then try to sell ads and do that kind of
they bought it for a reason, right?
Right, right.
They're not going to completely just shut it down.
Yeah. And, getting a few comments here. Blues Nut calls it the River Dump Times. He says, is the River Dump Times dead? Basically, as we know it, yes.
Yes, as we know
it is. And Jay Monty responds and says, journalism is dead. Not one. Yeah. That's actually, I think that's closer to the truth. I don't know who you would look at in St. Louis and say that's a journalist.
Yeah, like true journalist.
True journalism. You will not know how they view the issues. I look for all perspectives. I don't know that you really see that in St. Louis.
I don't think you see it anywhere. It's what the media is turned into.
Right.
Yeah, we're all siloed.
Show your side.
Right. I mean, I do not apologize for saying I am coming at this from a conservative and libertarian and free markets perspective.
But you shouldn't.
Right. I mean,
you shouldn't, but the people on CNN.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but the same goes for Fox News too.
Yeah. I mean, I spent about half of my career was as a journalist.
Right.
And I did my best to write it right down the middle, straight shooting. And then after a while, I'm like, I've got an opportunity to voice my opinion. And I just came to the conclusion you could do one or the other, but people say, well, I'm an opinion journalist. Well, which are you? So the Riverfront Times, it's not that they never broke a story.
Right.
But you knew what you were getting with them. And that is from a fringe left perspective.
Right. But there was still this claim of journalistic integrity.
Right. I mean, biased journalism. Well, maybe. I mean, that's what you can debate in the classes in journalism school. But here's the thing. This is, to me, people are lamenting, well, with this institution of St. Louis, almost every city's got an alternative weekly.
Right.
In Kansas City, they call it The Pitch. I forgot what the one in Chicago is called, but they've got one up there too. I think they've got two of them up there. And these
San Francisco has the poop. I'm sorry.
You see, you say you're sorry, but I don't think you are.
It's like, I don't feel like you're sorry, Gabe.
Yeah.
It's like, no, actually, I'm not.
But here's the thing. Here's the market reaction. I mean, part of what the Riverfront Times built its business on. And remember, Ray Hartman was one of those who founded the Riverfront Times in the 70s. And they were reviewing restaurants. They were, if you wanted to know where the concert was, whatever show, not just the big ones at Riverport, but the ones at the Blues Club, or the Rock
album
Club,
reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, happening at Pops. I mean, in the East Side or whatever it is. that's where you went. But now, if I want to look and see, well, I'm not going to the big show, that's got 20,000 people at whatever arena. What's playing out at Del Mar Hall or Diamond Music Hall or wherever? I'm looking at a different place. They got beat in the marketplace for other things.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm going to miss, one of the things that as I'm thinking about this, one of the things I'm going to miss is how easy it is to dismantle everything that came out of the Riverfront Times. It's like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. Let me tell you exactly how wrong you are, because they gave you like the pure unadulterated left, like they didn't hide it at like CNN will do, and
I
things
actually
like that.
respect that to some degree.
Yes, to some degree, I actually respected that idea, and of course, coming out so clear with it means that I can actually approach it more clearly in my understanding of the leftist perspective and in sharpening my arguments from the right perspective.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, for instance, some of the writing that happened and the reporters that are now out of a job out there, I could probably, for some of them, not all of them, because some of them you read the writing and you're like, yeah, I'd walk the other way. I'm not engaging that person in conversation. But there are others that you say, and I could sit down and have a cup of coffee with that person, and it would be kind of interesting to just kind of exchange ideas and see, who wants to wrap their head around the other person's perspective and see if you can understand it. I actually enjoy that exercise. It just almost never happens anymore.
Yeah.
And with the Riverfront Times, to give them enough credit, was it a left-wing rag? Yeah, absolutely. But they were honest about it. They were genuine about it. Just like, here at News Talk STL, we see life through a conservative lens. We're not apologizing for that. They weren't apologizing for that. I mean, so for the people who are saying, it's not real journalism. I mean, where are we going to get our left-wing journalism? I mean, that's like saying, how are you going to buy a book if Left Bank Books goes under? You're going to find your stuff. I mean, you're going to get there. But also keep in mind that the Riverfront Times and Sauce, the magazine out there, I don't think that's spun off, but it's owned by the same people, and the resources so they kind of specialized in the restaurants and the nightlife and the food and drink and all that kind of stuff. But that was a big part of Riverfront Times. Sauce is going to continue. So if you're just looking for the food, drink, nightlife kind of stuff, that's out there because the Riverfront Times now is going under. So they actually created a little bit of their own competition in that era, but they also are competing with Facebook events. They're competing with social media. They're competing with, publications that exist only on social media. And so, it's just a harder market. The market's evolved, and much of the dead tree media is just not keeping up.
Yeah, you mentioned the dead tree media aspect of it. We're talking about newspapers, right? If I made a reference to wrapping a fish in newspaper, Quentin would have no idea what I'm talking about. So that's how old the newspaper as a concept even is in our society. Now, Q, you were talking during the break about how you actually first encountered Riverfront Times more so on Instagram than in print media.
No, Instagram is how I found out about Riverfront Times. I didn't even know that they were such a left-leaning site until earlier this year. I would watch, I'd scroll on Instagram, and they would have a lot of restaurants, like you said, pretty much what Sauce does.
Yeah.
And that's how I was introduced. That's how I was like, okay, cool. This is cool.
Right.
And I started seeing some of the headlines, and I was like, whoa.
What is this? Basically, they got a different intern at,
but like you said, they didn't hide it, though. They weren't hiding it.
Sure.
So it's
right
in front of you.
I've got more respect for that than I do for like NPR. Or that I do for most of the alphabet soup media out there, because they go up there and try to claim, we're just giving you objective news. We're not giving you our opinion. These are just the facts. By the way, my pronouns are she, her. And if you don't respect them, then you're obviously a bigot who probably votes for Trump. So, the fact that the Riverfront Times just came out and said, we're they, them, zers, zens, and whatever. And this is what we think. And at least they were honest about it.
Yeah.
So you give credit where credit's due, but at the same time, it was a left-wing rag, and you can get left-wing stuff anywhere else, and they just didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to have a plethora of conservative morning shows here in St. Louis, and the market said, there's room for not quite that many.
Right.
And, there are some left, and there's others who didn't make the cut.
Yep. By the way, hi, we're still here.
Yeah.
And while you're here, while you're watching on Rumble, especially, hit the thumbs up button. like, share, do all of those great things that you have in front of you. They're all free, but they really do help the station. They help promote us, especially that like button for the live streams. That gets us into the Rumble algorithm so that we get pushed out into the feeds of like-minded individuals, and you can bring those guys into the chat, and you can even have more fun. So it helps you. Help us help you.
Man, yesterday there were a couple arguments that debates that broke out in the Rumble chat box. It was interesting.
That was fun.
It was kind of fun. Yeah, it really was. Because we're not afraid of other opinions here. All right. 314-912-1019. Just ahead. This actually happened at a public school in St. Louis. They voted to boot the teachers union out. So where do they go from here? And is this something that could be indicative of momentum or a movement? We'll talk to Mark Mix from National Right to Work about that at right around 6:35 on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
Hey, everybody, it's Rob Carter. Mike and Beverly Sloan are the visionary minds behind Living the Elite Life, a coaching program that extends their expertise to empower others in the realms of mindset, fitness, health, sobriety, and relationships. If you need just a little push to make your life a lot better, give them a call, 636-248-9799, or email beverlysloan1@gmail.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define.
Join me every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, some St. Louis teachers say thanks but no thanks to the union and give them the boot.
That's amazing.
Did not think you were going to see that in 2024.
I was not expecting.
Didn't think you were going to see it in St. Louis, did you? Yeah, but it actually happened. All right, News Talk STL, our free app, streaming audio. You, of course, stream the audio at newstalkstl.com. Or if you want to be more discreet at work and not do it on your desktop or laptop, then just put it on your phone and it's free and you can Bluetooth it in your car. That is increasingly where everybody is taking us with them. So just, put us on your phone. You can put us in your pocket and not in a riverfront time sort of way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying we've got the app and it's free and it doesn't take up very much memory. All right. St. Louis teachers say thanks, but no thanks to the union and give them the boot. We're now joined by Mark Mix from National Right to Work. And Mark, we talked about this week and a half ago, something like that the vote was coming up. And I thought it was really interesting that there was at least enough support to require the vote itself, but I didn't think it was going to succeed. But by a very narrow margin, the teachers voted to decertify their union. Now, I know that the whole process isn't technically complete because there's some kind of deadline I want you to explain to me, but where are we with that? The teachers have said no thanks, so they are in the process of decertifying the union. I want to get into the bigger picture on that, but let's start with the fundamental. Where is it in the process right now?
Yeah, Mike, good morning to you. I just want to know, how tall is Quentin? I'm looking at him. He looks like he's pretty tall.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm only 5'6", so when I notice somebody like that, but yeah, here's the deal. The decertification vote occurred last Friday on the 17th. There's a 7-day window for appeals or objections to the results of the election. That window will close tomorrow, Friday, about 5 o'clock. That objection will go to the National Labor Relations Board regional office that conducted this election of the teachers at the KIPP school, the high school in St. Louis, which is a public charter school. They did vote to decertify the union. The margin was close, as you mentioned, Mike. And there are challenges. I think there's 2 challenges that are out there for ballots that were cast. That could be determinative because the election results were 19-17 to decertify, meaning to remove the union from the workplace. So we'll know tomorrow whether or not the union, the American Federation of Teachers, Local 420, files objections to the election, and the NLRB then will investigate that and possibly say, well, the issue is determinative, and so the results aren't clear. They could actually have a rerun election, or they could basically just say the election didn't work, and if the challenge votes reduce the number of votes for decertification, the union would win on a tie vote. And so if those challenge votes come out to be, for the union to maintain, then there'll be another round, if you will, of litigation. We'll look at it because we're helping those teachers at the KIPP school. We help them get through the process. We didn't help them in the campaign, but what we wanted to do was give them a chance to vote in private whether or not the union should continue to represent them in the workplace.
Okay. Do we know what the challenges are and how many ballots are being challenged?
Yeah, it's 2 ballots being challenged, and generally those challenges are whether or not the person should have voted in the election if they were not a member of the bargaining unit. If they weren't a teacher or a nurse or people that were basically in the bargaining unit that were represented by the union. Sometimes there's a question of whether or not someone's a supervisor and cannot vote in an election, a union election. So that's probably what the nature is. I don't know exactly what the nature of the challenges are. We just know that there were 2 ballots that were challenged.
Good morning, Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what exactly does decertification mean? Like what's the logistics of what's going to happen next, assuming that this actually goes through?
Yeah, Gabe. So decertification is the process of removing a union that has been certified as the bargaining agent for the particular group of workers that want to be in a union. So basically what happens is workers get together, they say, we would like to have a union. Generally, they will get a secret ballot election, and if they vote for union representation, the union will now represent them in all aspects of terms and conditions of employment. When you decertify a union, first of all, it's a very difficult window kind of to thread. You have to wait for the contract, basically 3 years, and you have to thread between 90 days of expiration of contract and 60 days of expiration of the contract in order to get a decertification vote. So if you miss that window, you get back in for another 3 years and you have to wait. But in this case, they did thread the needle, if you will. 30%, at least 30% of the workers in the unit filed a petition with the National Labor Relations Board saying, we would like to have an election. We'd like to have a secret ballot election to determine whether or not this union still represents us in the workplace. So the decertification election would be just like the certification election. It would say, do you want the union to represent you or not? And in this case, the workers there, the majority of the workers that voted in this election said, no, we don't want the union to represent us anymore. We want to basically talk to the school board and the administrators of the school ourselves about terms and conditions of employment.
Okay, so if it was a secret ballot election, then how do they know which ballots to challenge and which person, how they voted? I mean, they may say, for instance, the example you gave that could be a hypothetical is, well, you're actually a supervisor, you wouldn't quote. Well, they don't know how that person voted. Do they? They could have voted to keep the union. So how do you challenge a secret ballot? And I noticed that you said 2 ballots are being challenged, which was the margin of victory in this.
Yeah. So I think the ballots can be identified by the NLRB, not necessarily by the contestants, whether it be the union representative. But basically, I think the question probably boils down to, and I don't know exactly what it is, Mike, but it could be that they don't think the person should have cast a ballot in that election. So those challenge ballots. So when Mike Ferguson walks up to the ballot box and sticks his paper into the ballot, into the box, they say, "I'm going to challenge Mike Ferguson's election." That ballot would be set aside. It would be counted, but it'd be set aside and then challenged at that point.
Okay. And when it comes to the National Labor Relations Board, are you confident that they will be actually objective and just look at the facts, or will they come in with a pro-union influence in this? I mean, obviously the National Labor Relations Board, now part of the Biden administration with him being in office, how confident are you that those who are, I guess, being the referee are going to be unbiased referees?
Well, just let me put it this way. I think the Riverfront News would report the work of the National Labor Relations Board to give it some context. But I'm not confident, Mike, and that's a great question. And that's why we're here to help employees navigate this kind of this maze, if you will, of labor policy. And we have a lot of situations, like, for example, we're representing workers at, I think, 15 different Starbucks around the country, and the NLRB will not give those workers a vote. Even though they petitioned in some units, a majority of the workers have said, we'd like a vote on decertifying the union, getting the union out of our workplace, but the NLRB won't even give them an election and denies their ability to get elections. So I'm not overly optimistic about the NLRB here. Hopefully they'll do their job. Hopefully they'll do it right. And the workers will get a chance to have their voices heard. And that's really the important part of this from our perspective, is giving these individual employees the right to exercise the rights and privileges they have under the National Labor Relations Act.
Is there a timetable now that is incumbent on the National Labor Relations Board to get this part done?
Yeah, the National Labor Relations Board will basically certify elections 7 days after the vote is cast, and they'll look at it. If there are objections, they can delay the certification, or they can actually certify the election results and then go in and look at any unfair labor practice charge or anything that may have occurred or was alleged during the process. In this case, I think the challenge votes, they would probably say, well, we're not going to certify the election until we actually rule on whether or not these challenge ballots can be counted in the process. So we'll see. The certification generally means that they've looked at it and said, okay, we think the election results should be certified, but the NLRB manual for operations for these folks say that they can actually go back and take away this certification if something comes up that basically says, well, the election wasn't conducted properly, or someone voted who shouldn't have, or there was something that one side did or the other side did to influence that was probably a violation of the law. So you have to maintain the, quote, laboratory conditions of an election in order to have this process work the way it's supposed to.
We are visiting with Mark Mix from National Right to Work. And Mark, at this point, is there a bigger picture here? I mean, yes, it's a public charter school, so it's a little different setting, but it's still a public school. This is still the American Federation of Teachers here. So you still have a group of public school teachers who have voted to decertify a teachers union. Obviously, you mentioned, the Starbucks and some of the other places that unions have really tried to go in and extend their reach. So is there any indication that there's any momentum or a shift when it comes to the workplace and workplace culture? Because, labor unions in some industries, blue collar ones, manufacturing, that's just kind of a standard. It's been there for 100 years. It's probably going to be there for 100 years. But in these other types of settings, are we seeing any shifts in trends when it comes to wanting or not wanting unions?
We absolutely are, Mike. And basically, we have seen about a 40% increase in the number of decertification elections from going back to 2019, before COVID. We have 130 actual decertification cases that we've helped employees work on over just the rolling last 12 months. And that's a pretty big number when it comes to the actual process of these elections and the number of petitions that are filed for decertification. Obviously, union officials would have you believe that that this is all about new workers unionizing. The fact is they only represent about 6% of the private sector workforce at this point, and the number of union elections is down over the last decade for sure. But the increase in the interest in decertifications is actually increasing. And one of the reasons for that, Mike and Gabe and Quentin, is because the unions have gotten overtly political in their stands. And, a lot of workers who may have different views about politics, they have very strong views about workplace conditions and conditions of employment. But when it comes to the unions out there playing politics, that's where the conflict exists. And the more political that union officials get and the more political they're getting is a reason why workers are coming to us, employees are coming to us saying, you know what, we don't want to be part of this political process. And that's why I think you've seen an increase in kind of the unrest of union members in the private sector. And these are private sector employees under the National Labor Relations Act. Most government school employees, as we would know it, are public sector employees. So they fall under state law when it comes to this process of decertification.
Mark, I think we might be running a little long here, but just in the last minute or so, if there's a teacher out there or an office worker or a line worker, somebody who's out there who's currently in a union or being forced to be in a union, and they want to get out, they want to decertify their local union, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, they can find information about that at our website at nrtw.org. There's lots of frequently asked questions there. They can call and talk to an attorney. We provide free legal services to these workers that are trying to exercise their rights under the law. So nrtw.org.
All right, Mark Mix, National Right to Work. Hey, thanks for giving us the update on this. And of course, we're going to find out the next probably 48 hours, what the direction of this is going to be with the National Labor Relations Board and certification on that. So we may be pestering you for another update sooner rather than later, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Quentin.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. All right. 314-912-1019.
Quentin is indeed tall.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. He's following the Stell tradition.
Just a little.
How tall are you?
6'4".
And that's actually not quite as tall as Stell.
Yeah. Stell's taller.
Yes.
Stell's a little bit taller.
Stell's a big dude.
Yeah. He's so unassuming, and then you find out he played Division I sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Yeah. Do you play ball in college?
I did football.
Okay.
Nice.
For who?
Missouri Baptist, right?
No kidding.
Nice.
Mobap. All right. I'm going to guess either tight end, wide receiver.
Oh, definitely not a tight end.
No, wide receiver?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wide receiver. Because his arms extended another 10 yards in front.
Yep.
All right.
But you got a vertical, too.
40.
Deal.
Goodness dang. All right.
Oh, I meant a 40-yard dad. Lord.
Oh, yeah.
I have a 40-inch vertical. I'm not sitting here right now.
No kidding. All right. Just ahead here, Anthony Fauci's lieutenants, one of them admits to trying to hide information from Freedom of Information Act requests. Admits it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll give you the update on that right around 6:51 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You got the vaccination? Are you okay? I mean, you see, no, it works. Or you know.
Oh my God, they're filibustering. We're not going to get anything done this year.
Or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when. No, I really mean it.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
On News Talk STL. 1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, what's next for a local left-wing rag now that the RFT has been sold? We'll give you the basic details here in just a second. But then a little bit later on, it's fascinating to me how the debate has gone with the Riverfront Times.
Yeah.
Because people are saying, where are we going to get our journalism? But it's so much bigger than that, because I'm telling you right now, there are actually some aspects of what they did that I actually respect.
Yeah.
Not now, I don't respect them as journalists.
Right. But you respect the honesty.
I respect the sincerity. So let's get to that here in just a little
You
bit.
can be sincerely wrong, but at least you're sincere.
Right. All right. We've now got the update on the teen girl who cracked another girl's skull. What's next in her legal situation? And let's not jinx anything, but I'm just going to, as I pointed out a little bit earlier, I'm going to casually point out that the Cardinals have won some baseball games lately.
Yeah.
A number of them.
That's happened.
Like in a group, but I'm not jinxing anything here.
Easy.
All right. 6:51 right now. Got Gabe here, and Quentin is in for Stell today. Okay, you're going to see this all over the national news later on today. A former advisor to Anthony Fauci testifying before Congress about some emails that revealed, then this is through the Freedom of Information Act and some other discovery type things, revealed that he attempted to delete emails regarding the origins of COVID-19 during the entire so-called pandemic and shutdown era. And as a matter of fact, he actually in one of his emails told somebody, I know how to make these emails disappear after the FOIA request comes in.
Oh my gosh.
He actually said that in an email and then was directing some people, contact me at my personal email address.
By the way, that's illegal.
Yeah, very. Very, very, very.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know these were federal documents.
Yes.
So what
Which is why we're going to hide them and don't put them here. And here's how I'm going to make them disappear. But I'm sure I have nothing.
Federal.
I mean, scrub it like with bleach. He's like, sorry, this reference.
So Dr. David Morins apologized to lawmakers during that hearing, but said he just doesn't remember if he deleted any records regarding coronavirus. He just can't remember.
I just can't remember the thing that I wrote and
Yeah.
said I was going to do and did.
Congressman Brad Wenstrup is a Republican out of Ohio. He was on the Ingram Angle last night on Fox. He has thoughts. Let's just put it that way.
One, he says we have to protect Tony. The other thing he says is Tony doesn't want his fingerprints over any of this stuff to do with origins of COVID. So it tells you right there what he was doing and working outside the box illegally. And we're pursuing this in every aspect.
Okay, so another hearing that's being done. I want to see something actually happen. These people should be in jail.
Yes.
Literally
goodness.
in jail here. By the way, the FBI and other official U.S. departments have concluded as a matter of policy that COVID-19 most likely escaped the Wuhan lab through some kind of lab leak or lab accident. That's their take.
You know, I'm kind of getting tired of having these, leftist or at least leftist tools go on record admitting to wrongdoing that should carry a jail time and nothing happening.
Right.
We've seen this multiple times now, just in like the last year.
And at the same time, we've got some conservative Republicans, some good guys in Congress, and there are a few running these hearings. Okay, great. Let's have another hearing. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
What are the consequences when you get to the truth?
Yeah.
Don't give me another hearing. Give me results.
The sound bites are not enough.
These are kind of like, let's keep it in the news before the election is what I'm starting to think is happening here.
I mean, this is what happens when you have control of the media,
Yeah.
government,
Mm-hmm.
prosecutors.
Yep.
There is no
accountability. Yeah.
Exactly.
The two-tier justice system continues.
Right.
All right. In other news, President Biden continuing to cancel student debt for another group of Americans. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre bragging about that in yesterday's press briefing.
Today, we announced that the Biden-Harris administration canceled student debt for an additional 160,000 people, meaning 4.75 million Americans have now benefited from our debt relief actions.
Okay, so in response to this, Congressman Byron Donalds was on Fox's Kudlow, and let's just say he doesn't have the same perspective on the cancellation, and he's not celebrating it.
The Supreme Court has told Joe Biden no. The Congress has not voted on anything like this for student loans, but he does it anyway. That is a violation of separation of powers. It's an impeachable offense.
Oh, dang.
Oh, okay.
Dang.
He went there with it.
Oh, yeah, he did.
All right.
The White House is saying that the average student loan debt that's been canceled is around $35,000 per borrower. And so we're into literally over $1 billion.
Oh my gosh!
Of student loan debt,
and this has already happened. This is kind of we're in no backsies territory,
right?
You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube, and he's just going willy nilly on basically defying the court.
Yeah, Byron Donalds is 100% correct. He said the Supreme Court has told you no.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration and Joe Biden in his speech is just saying the Supreme Court told me no, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, absolutely, this is a separation of powers. I don't want to use the word, constitutional crisis, but the thing is, when one branch of government just kind of overrides the authority of the another branch of government, that's kind of the definition of a constitutional crisis.
Yeah. And so that's where there will be, I'm sure, other sets of lawsuits that are going to go well after the next election. That's going to happen. But like you said, if you've been given the notice that your student loan is canceled and you don't owe anything anymore, they don't get to come back and say, by the way, we're kidding. You owe us $50,000.
Right. Yeah, that's done. It's a done deal. So here's a question. They may adjudicate this thing further to say, hey, by the way, we actually meant what we said, that this is the power of Congress. So then the executive doesn't have this. You can't do this anymore. But what's going to happen to people who what happens to a branch of government or the authority of the branch of government if they defy the other branches of government? We're in like different territory now as a republic.
Yeah, we really are.
Been defined their whole, the whole term.
Yeah, seriously.
Jay Monty on Rumble says if the Republicans were a football team, their offense would be all huddle, no offense, no scoring.
Ooh, all huddle.
Cardinals wrapped up Tuesday's game that was suspended by rain by winning it 3-1. After that, they beat the Orioles in the second game of the day, the only full game of the day, winning that one 5-4. That gives the Cardinals the first series sweep of the season.
Yay.
Yeah.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Heading out today, if you are, expect lots of company. Today is a huge getaway day ahead of the long holiday weekend. AAA expects 38 million Americans to hit the roads, although
air travel is also very popular right now. 3.5 million people is our projection for the Memorial Day weekend. So airports are going to be as packed as they've been. I mean, they'll be more packed than we've seen it in 20 years.
AAA's Aixa Diaz says a lot of those travelers will be heading to Florida. It's among the most popular holiday destinations. Heavy weather that pounded central Texas peeled back part of the roof of a shopping mall. Neighbors Arkansas and Oklahoma also saw torrential rains, hail, and high winds. Today, a large swath of the country could experience fierce storms. 9 people died when a stage at a political rally in northern Mexico collapsed. Fierce winds blamed for that deadly accident. House Republicans calling more university chiefs to Capitol Hill today following the recent on-campus anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests.
Scheduled to testify today at a hearing by the House Committee on Education and the Workforce are heads of Northwestern University, Rutgers, and University of California, Los Angeles. Lawmakers want to hear about the concessions that schools gave to pro-Palestinian protesters to end demonstrations and clear their encampments on their campuses, as well as allegations of anti-Semitism. Tensions over the Israel-Hamas war have been high on campuses since the fall and spiked in recent weeks with some 3,000 arrests nationwide. Donna Horter, Washington.
A Michigan farm worker diagnosed with bird flu is the second human case tied to an outbreak in dairy cows. That person has since recovered. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 59 points. NASDAQ futures 201 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Seth Holhouse brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Rev up your summer with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down on a John Deere compact tractor. You can purchase a 1 Series tractor for less than $10 a day. It's time to elevate your equipment game with a hardworking, versatile tractor. Don't let this sizzling hot deal on compact tractors slip away. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/31/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
I feel a little hurt right now, Gabe.
Why is that?
Because Quentin, filling in for Stell today.
Yeah.
And we do the Kofifi dance.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're watching on video. And I said, you said you don't have a cool coffee mug like we do.
Yeah.
And I said, but do you have cool dance moves? And his answer was, well, not for this.
Oh, man. I didn't mean it like that.
Well, he saves those for his girl, man.
There you
so,
right.
that's how that works.
Oh, good Lord. Good night.
One.
All right. Okay, still ahead here. The fight between teenagers that caught the attention of the entire country now has an update in this. And 7:20, I want to get your thoughts on this because the judges ruled that the girl who cracked the other girl's skull will not be tried as an adult. Of course, this has divided St. Louis to a very large degree, but there are also other aspects of this that are so unusual in that we know the names and they're widely reported the names of the juveniles involved because both of the families went public with them in order to get money.
Yeah.
In order to get donations, and it's complicated things and actually trying to get justice. So 7:20, I'll give you the updates and let's go from there. 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe here. Quentin is in for Stell today. There's a lot of reasons that people want to choose something other than a public school.
Yes.
It could be poor academics. It could be just a matter of values and could be a matter of your religious faith. Could also be just a matter of safety. And what we're seeing in some areas around the country is that the public schools are putting, to some degree, some ideological values, if you will, over the actual safety of students. And in fact, we're seeing that in the Chicago Public School District, which kind of, unfortunately, is often looked at as kind of a litmus for other parts of the upper Midwest. And we're joined now by Daryl Jones from our friends at the Herzog Foundation. And Daryl, if I'm reading this right here, the school resource officers, the police officers in the schools, they could be replaced in the Chicago public schools, which are, by everybody's agreement, some of the most dangerous public schools and violent public schools in the entire country. What in the world's going on with this?
Well, that's exactly right. And really, Mike, the only correction I would make is the fact is that is the plan right now, unless something changes the plan. So the Chicago public schools have already, the school board has already voted to replace, school resource officers with a new safety plan. And the question has become not simply from concerned families, but really from the state legislature that's saying, wait a minute, this is not a good plan. This is not a safe plan. The school board touts that, the plan will cover physical safety, emotional safety, relational trust, and that will drive down crime and safety issues by developing a holistic, safe environment. But it's really coming under question, certainly by the school resource organization, the police departments, and now the state legislators questioning the validity of that kind of a plan.
Good morning, Daryl. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So we've seen a number of these issues where the ideological, as Mike mentioned, is kind of overrules the practical. Like just in 2022 with the shooting at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School here in the St. Louis area. There was discussions about having armed officers available, but they denied those armed officers in the school because they say, well, the presence of the guns would scare the students. but that didn't prevent the shooting that eventually took place. So how are you seeing these various schools kind of react to the new I guess significantly more violent environment of schools these days?
Well, I think you see a couple of things. I mean, even the lead into to the discussion today, where you're seeing parents that are looking for alternative forms of education for their kids. They're looking for an environment where they believe their kids are safe, where bullying isn't an everyday occurrence, and many of them are choosing private schools, and we're seeing just an incredible growth in Christian schools across the country, as well as homeschool options, where parents are pretty sure that in homeschooling the kids are going to be safe.
No, I've heard a number of people kind of discuss the public school to prison pipeline and discussed how public schools seem to operate very much like prisons, and they seem to just be training for it. Do you think that sort of criticism is fair?
I don't know that it's fair. I mean, you've got lots of children in a building, and you're trying to bring some kind of order. I mean, whether that's a scout troop, whether that's a school, whether it's a prison, there has to be some kind of order. I mean, I think that's reasonable. The concern is the out of order and the number of issues that are happening with bullying and with safety issues that are very real issues that are documentable across the country that parents have regarding education. And this Chicago school, public school plan is certainly coming under fire and coming in question by other leaders within the state.
We're talking with Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. Now, let me switch gears just a little bit. One of the criticisms that particularly homeschoolers get is, well, there's not as many extracurricular activities. You can't do theater. You can't do sports.
What about their socialization?
What about their socialization? Now,
Right.
I will tell you that when my kids went to a Christian school, there was a homeschool team that was part of the schedule that they went and played. So so that happens. But apparently there's one kid who's an up and coming athlete who's a homeschool kid, and homeschool success is not just for spelling bees anymore, apparently, because this kid is looking at possibly becoming an Olympian, and he's not, or is it he or she? He is not going through the public school athletic process to this. He's a homeschool kid. So what are those types of opportunities? Like in this case, it's 14-year-old. I just had his name a second ago. Sean Reith.
Yeah.
And so he's making a name for himself running track. And a lot of people are looking at him saying, wow, 14 years old, he's kind of a prodigy on that, but he's doing it outside of the traditional system. Talk about the opportunities that a lot of people may not realize are out there when it comes to sports or other things.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. Well, again, when you consider home education, you're talking about parents that are responsible for the growth and the development and the well-being and the well-rounded character of their children. And who is going to more passionately be involved in that than a parent? And here you find this fantastic story that we wrote about in The Lion, readlion.com, where we talk about what's going on all across the country in K-12 education. But this story about Sean, a middle schooler who a middle school homeschooler who just won the New Balance National Indoor Track Meet in Boston, for crying out loud. And at one point, his parents invited him, "Hey, do you want to join the public school middle school track team?" And he said, "Why? I mean, I'm getting faster. I'm placing. I'm doing everything that I really want to do." And he really felt like, based on past experiences, that if he were a part of a public track meet, that it would really stunt his growth in his ability to continue to run and move forward. Home education is not what it was 30 years ago. It is viable education, and it's statistically proven in that at this point, where there's this interesting exodus from public education right now across the country, 2-to-1 families are going the homeschool route for the accessibility, But also, if you want the very best out of a child, no system can compete with what home education provides. I'm currently in Florida, getting ready to step into a Florida homeschool conference. There are 14,000 families here, 14,000 at a homeschool conference. When you're looking at, one person told me, home education by design is not unified. For example, you may have 3 children in your home, but this child learns this way. This child learns this way, and this child learns a different way. Home education is able to tailor the education and the teaching of the child based on the abilities and the way that the child learns. No system can compete with that. So whether you're talking about academics or you're talking about extracurriculars, there are absolutely extracurricular opportunities available across the country for homeschool families. But the stereotype of home education is really a lie from people who don't like home education and have a vested interest in other educational monopolies. How's that? How's that for a way to
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking when you're saying as well. Is it that they care that much about homeschooling, or are they simply looking to protect the establishment by forcing so-called customers into it and not giving them another choice? And that's really, I think, where a lot of this comes in. I mean, the kid who won the track meet in Boston, I mean, he's saying, why should I, bother with this other system? I've already won the national one. I'm getting faster. I'm getting better at this. But has anybody validated his pronouns or told him that he needs to have the pronouns?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Good point.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And the thing is, this kid is eyeing the Olympics. I mean, it's a great story, and these kinds of stories are going on in the lives of families. Maybe not eyeing the Olympics, but where parents are seeing real growth in the development, not simply academically or even extracurricular, but character development within their children. It's an exciting day, and I think sometimes we're prone to look at how bad things are, and we're losing a number of real stories of real lives that are thriving today.
All right. I also want to point out that for those who are saying, yeah, that sounds great, but I have no idea where to get started. I am scared of going through the process. You actually provide those as well. So let's put people in contact with that, because there may be somebody who's looking for a private faith-based school. They may be thinking about a micro school. They may be thinking about homeschooling, but they don't know how to get started on this.
Absolutely. Please get in contact with us. We are the Herzog Foundation. You can find us at herzogfoundation.com. And we have a number of resources to help families looking for options for their children educationally, academically, that embraces their faith. So whether it's to be involved in a Christian school, whether it's to start a Christian school, whether it's to be involved in a homeschool co-op and to have some support from other homeschool families, we are here to help make those connections and give you free resources to get started. herzogfoundation.com.
All right. Best of luck at the conference in Florida. Daryl, good to talk to you again.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks. You guys too. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Just ahead here. Let's talk about this case of Marnise DeClure and the fight with Kaylee Gain.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be behind closed doors in a juvenile courtroom. It's not. And I know there are some people who are saying media needs to stop saying their names. The families put the names out there because the families wanted money, and they got money.
Mm-hmm.
So the judges made a ruling. Where do we go from here? Because it's become something bigger than just the two girls, and that's not fair, but that's the way it is. Let's talk about it around 7:21.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Columbo and Katie.
Is change on the horizon in the Republican Party in Missouri after a frustrating end to the legislative session? We'll talk about it Thursday with Rep. Justin Sparks at 2:20. Then Dr. Randy Tobler joins us at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830. hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Bernie Sanders trying to make the case for the 32-hour work week. He doesn't want rich people to be rich. In his utopia, everybody makes $1 million to not work. He was coherent.
He was.
The president is not. The lights are on in Bernie's house. It's just that they're all kerosene gas lamps from 1922. But they're on.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right, Marnice DeClue will be tried as a juvenile, not tried as an adult. And this, of course, is related to the charges connected to that fight that she had with Kaylee Gain that left Kaylee Gain in the hospital with severe brain damage. I mean, relearning how to speak and, relearning how to do motor functions and things like that. Okay, is that the right decision is one. But two, this is so complicated now because we all know these underage girls' names.
Yeah.
We know the juveniles' names.
Yeah. This has become a different sort of media story than typically, it would be.
We're not supposed to know their names.
Right.
But we do. All right. So we'll get to that here in just a moment. And at 7:35, you probably heard the news. Maybe you've heard the news. Maybe you haven't. Riverfront Times is going away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entity has been sold. Everybody who works there has been laid off or worked there has been laid off. So the RFT is no more in St. Louis. And among the mainstream media, they're kind of lamenting, oh, my goodness, look at this voice of journalism that's gone now. Really?
Where am I going to get the kindling to start my barbecue? I mean, they help get the coals off. You got the little chimney smoke.
There were some things I appreciated about the RFT, but let's talk about that right around 7:35 or so.
It was free and everything.
Yeah, 7:23. Got Gabe here, and Quentin is in for Stell Day. All right, before we talk about what's happening with this juvenile court case here, looks like who we got here? Eric, you got a minute for you here. You said you got some thoughts on something we were talking about yesterday, which was the whole Mar-a-Lago warrant thing that's going on. What's up?
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to talk about that. Kudos to MAGA World on that. Can they make a bigger deal out of a nothing story? How pathetic is it that they took something that's standard on every FBI search and made it seem like, oh, they were trying to assassinate President Trump? So ridiculous.
Well, and we actually talked. Yeah, Eric, I don't know if you were listening to the show yesterday here, but that's actually
that was our point.
I probably got myself in trouble because I said there's a lot of conservative media that are making this sound like they had a game plan to assassinate bad orange man, and that's just not what it was.
Yeah.
Redstate.com, actually one of the best conservative sites in the country laid it out very clearly,
Mm-hmm.
saying that, you can debate what you want about the whole raid and the confiscation and all that, whether that should happen. But the idea that the reporting is that they went in guns a-blazing hoping to shoot Donald Trump's just nonsense.
Yeah, but why would MAGA even care about that? They're so great, Trump all the way down. They're so great at promoting BS and whining and complaining and making nonsense stories. It was a golden opportunity for them.
Well, I mean, MAGA's based on Donald Trump. I mean, I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan out there. I just kind of call balls and strikes. When he's right, he's right. When he's wrong, and that's how I look at it. The bottom line is, Eric, what you're referring to is the tribalism of our society right now. Tribalism in politics, tribalism in government, tribalism in culture, and when you attack one person, I think I mentioned this yesterday too, there's a lot of people who feel personally attacked when something happens or goes after Donald Trump. The left is as tribal as the right is. It's just they're very colorful right now.
Well, and they have more media outlets to do it on the left. So
yeah. All right, Eric, I'm going to get to this other story here, man. Thanks for just pointing out that, man, you don't have to agree with us to be on the show, man. So
thanks, sir.
Thanks for being on the program here. All right, 7:25. So we got a few minutes to talk about this story here, and that is Marnista Clue. And here's the thing. I've been in media for almost 30 years, 28 years, 29 years, something like that. And I know because I started when I was 10. I'm just saying.
10.
Let's go with that.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever openly talked about the I don't think I've ever talked about the names of those involved in juvenile crimes.
Yeah.
Unless they were certified as an adult.
Right. It was after the adjudication happened, and then we would know the names.
Yeah. So here's what we've got here is that with Marnista Clue, and I guess let's just talk about the girls the way that people are talking about out there. Marnista Clue is the black girl. Kaylee Gain is the white girl.
Right.
Kaylee Gain got her head split open. Marnista Clue was arrested and charged with, the variety of charges with that. What that video that went viral does not show is why they were fighting or who started the fight. And it doesn't show that Kaylee Gain was suspended from Hazelwood East High School for fighting with another girl in the days prior to this. So that clip doesn't show the whole story.
Right.
But still, that was a brutal fight that left one girl literally with them having to take part of her skull off because of it being slammed repeatedly into the sidewalk. Okay, so both families went to social media with their pictures, with their names, raising money for legal defenses and medical expenses. So both of the families decided to make a trade.
Right.
We're going to put our daughters' names out there because we need or we want the money.
Right. They're trading the anonymity for the cash.
And so the courts have never released these girls' names. They've said, we're going to try her as a juvenile, but we're using initials, we're using code names the way that they are supposed to do.
That's standard operating procedure for juvenile court.
Got to be frustrating for the judge in the case.
Oh,
because
sure.
He's of the people allowed in. They're not using names, they're not doing that, but everybody in the world knows who we're talking about
because of the families.
Right. I don't have an ethical problem saying their names because the families told us their names on this. So she's going to be tried as a juvenile.
Right. The judge decided this.
Right decision, wrong decision based on what we know, which admittedly is not everything.
Yeah, no idea. And I'm wondering what the listeners think about this. So, jump in on Rumble, jump on Facebook, at us on Twitter. Just let us know what you think. Do you think that's a right decision, wrong decision? I know we don't have basically almost any information relative to how much I imagine the judge got, but from what we know, what do you think should have happened here?
Right. Yeah. 314-912-1019. Give us your thoughts on that. Here's the thing that I think the more that we learn about this, the more that it's a tragedy across the board. Okay. The whole point of a juvenile justice system is that this kid did something criminal, assuming she's convicted. And then she pays a price and then gets to start her adult life with a clean slate, so to speak.
Right.
Now, sometimes that can go up to 21 or 25 or something like that, but it's not, you don't get sentenced to life in prison if you're being tried as a juvenile. You're not sentenced to 30 years in prison if you're being tried as a juvenile.
Right. They're
making a separation.
Much lower limits.
Right. But there was a big push to get her tried as an adult. That's not going to happen now. The judge said, among other things, she doesn't have a criminal record, meaning Marnice DeClure. She doesn't have one. The family and the lawyers, they said, but she speaks all these languages. She's academically gifted, all this kind of stuff. That doesn't matter because what you're looking at are what are the actions and what are the history right there. So there's so much more that we don't know about this.
But the fact that we do know their names is kind of an interesting wrinkle here, because it speaks to sort of a different world maybe that we're living in. Because back in the day, and we talked about this, even when we were talking about the story earlier, we wouldn't have heard about a fight between high school girls at a national level. This wouldn't be this big of a story, this big of a discussion, except that first of all, people had their phones out, so this is a video. And then the video went viral. Viral wasn't a thing, 20 years ago. And it became a national story also because of everybody's desire to have, to highlight racial animus wherever it rears its ugly head. And we don't know that racial animus had anything to do with the confrontation.
No idea.
So, but that's the story that they ran with. That's the video proliferation. Just it happened. So now we're in this new world. And you as a parent, let's say this is your kid, your dumb kid who got in a fight, people, good parents can have dumb kids, their kids do dumb things, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
My parents did.
Yeah, same. But so your kid does this, their face is in a video that has gone around the world 17 times. And everybody's seen it. They're making their judgments. Everybody's talking about stuff. And you're now facing either a criminal defense that you have to put up for, or massive medical bills. What do you do in that situation? Do you go forward? Do you say, okay, I need a GoFundMe, or I'm gonna have to mortgage the house, or we're already to the hilt. We can't sustain any more of these medical bills. Do you go for a GoFundMe, even though it does remove that anonymity that your kid would have enjoyed in a juvenile case?
Right. Yeah. All right. 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on this. Eric's call really getting people worked up in the Rumble chat box in particular.
All right.
You guys are watching Facebook and stuff. I don't know what's happening there, but Rumble, it's really happening there. So we want to get on that. We got that going on kind of parallel here. Also, the Riverfront Times is going under. They've been sold. Everybody who works there has been laid off. The RFT is not a source of information that I respected.
No.
But there were things about them that I actually respected, which may surprise you, not because I agreed or thought much of their work, but at least they were honest about where they were coming from on things. All right. We got a lot going on here, right here at 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to News Talk STL from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
John Beal knows that new roofing companies can look big and trustworthy on the internet, but the fact is 96% of new roofing companies go out of business within the first 5 years. John Beal has a reputation for excellence, reliability, plus lowest cost, best roof, best guarantee. Those here today, gone tomorrow roofers, they can't match John Beal. For home or business, trust my friend John. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Look up at the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a Russian space weapon. The Pentagon acknowledges Russia did launch a satellite into low orbit, and they believe it's going to use lasers to blind our satellites of what we see and what we transmit. We already have Italy and France complaining. They share a satellite, and they say Russia is trying to listen in on our conversations and get our intel. Well, we certainly don't want that to happen to us either, do we? In the UN, they've been debating about the issue of what we can do to ban any weapons in space. Well, the debate continues, but we know where two countries stand. They have blocked previous attempts to ban any development of weapons of mass destruction in orbit. Larry, what are those two countries? You could guess Russia and China. So I thought climate change was going to end the world for us. You know, now that you know all of this, those space weapons might be accelerating. I do wish you sweet dreams.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Here's your chance to help build our community while building your career. This is Officer Jacob Boomgarden with the Springfield, Missouri Police Department. Becoming a police officer is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Every single day, I have a chance to impact someone's life in a positive way. When my shift ends, I know I've made a difference. And you can too. Our next training academy starts soon. Get more information at gospd.com. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
You know, it's kind of fun watching all the social media posts lamenting the apparent demise of the Riverfront Times.
Yeah.
You know, listen, I've mentioned a number of times that close to half my career at this point, you know, probably 12, 15, not quite 15, probably 12, 13 years, something like that. It was as an actual reporter and journalist.
Like for real journalists.
Yeah. Not opinion stuff. I did, some television work. I did, basically I was behind the scenes as an assignment editor and I wrote a lot of the copy that you heard on the air. I was a newspaper reporter covering local stuff and some national stuff and things like that. And obviously a lot of radio work as a journalist as well. Now I'm not a journalist anymore. I don't try to pretend that I'm a journalist. I don't present myself as a journalist. I try to bring you the facts and then I say, here's my opinion of them. But the idea that you're just going to get straight journalism anymore, especially here in St. Louis, it's kind of interesting to me that there are still people who make that claim.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. The Riverfront Times announced yesterday that it's been sold and every member of their staff has been laid off.
Everybody got the pink slip.
Some of them might end up being able to go to work for a sister publication, Sauce or some of those others.
A lot of what happens in those things is, you get fired, but it's like, hey, but we have an opportunity for you at another part of the organization, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that happens.
By the way, it doesn't pay as much.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. You got to share office space
on
the floor.
Yeah. So the RFT now ends a 46-year run.
Wow.
And I just find it interesting that there are so many people saying, well, this was such an important voice of journalism in St. Louis.
No, it wasn't.
Listen, I'm not saying they didn't break stories.
Yeah.
They did.
They occasionally did actually investigative. I mean,
Right.
I guess tepidly you can kind of call it journalism, but
Right.
but it's just they did an investigation and found out information. You know,
Right.
That occasionally happened.
Yeah, exactly. So they, here's what somebody may be surprised to hear. There were things I respected about the RFT. Okay. The fact that they came at it and just said, we're not being objective. This is our viewpoint. They're a left wing. We have a left wing audience. We hate the people with R in front of their name. We hate the conservatives. I actually was going to consider it kind of a badge of, we've made it with this little startup that we've got here at News Talk STL. Because remember, we're locally owned.
Yeah.
Is that if I could have become the public enemy number one to the RFT,
oh yeah,
then I would have really been proud of myself. That I'm like, ooh, look at this. Now I know that I'm on their radar, and now we outlasted them.
Sadly, yeah. Well, not sadly.
Yeah, we've outlasted them. So, but it's kind of funny because when I hear people like, this is such an important voice that it's gone now, and I'm thinking, what do you mean? Are there a lack of left-wing voices in St. Louis?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to challenge important. I'm going to challenge that
Yeah.
that idea, like that's an important voice. And second, I'm going to challenge the idea that we don't have similar voices elsewhere. I mean, on a national level, nationally funded like NPR has basically the same views. Everybody over at NPR St. Louis has the same view as everybody who was over at the Riverfront Times.
Right. Yeah. And, there are some people who came to that NPR station from legitimate journalism backgrounds. Joe Mayonnaise wrote for the Post-Dispatch for a long time. And, I've known Joe over the years. I haven't talked to her since she retired. It's been quite a while, but she brought a journalism background to that. But for instance, the last time that I saw that radio station had an ad out for a journalist, using air quotes,
yeah.
They made it very, very clear that they would consider anybody who was not a straight white Christian male.
Oh, okay.
They're like, we're looking for diverse viewpoints.
Oh,
so that could have been race and ethnicity, that could have been sexuality, it could have been gender, it could have been any of those things. But they made it very clear you needed to check a box.
Okay, so insert gross violation of the Civil Rights Act here.
Well, yeah, but it's on the left, and it's the underrepresented victims. And,
okay, all right. I'm sorry.
A radio station or TV stations or radio stations have ways to try to get around those. Sidebar here.
Yeah,
we used to have what we called the trades.
Yeah.
In the business. I mean, there still are some trades for radio, but they were actual printed trades, and television and stations in particular would put out ads if your anchor, one of your co-anchors, was leaving or retiring or getting fired or whatever. They couldn't say they needed a female anchor.
Right.
You can't say that. That's illegal. So what you would say is, we're looking for a weeknight anchor for our primetime newscast to complement our male anchor. Or compliment our female anchor.
Okay.
So you could say that and get away with it, because they would still they would still take your resumes and stuff.
Right.
But the message was, we've got a chick, we need a dude.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a dude, we need a chick.
Right. Because if you notice, every news desk has one of each.
Right. Yeah, for the most part.
So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's how they would get around that.
All right.
So not to get too much on the NPR stuff, because there's a couple of people there that I've met over the years that seem like nice enough people.
Right.
That's fine. They just are not the journalists that they think that they are, or that they say that they are. And to argue, a matter of fact, the NPR station here in town, that's one of the articles I grabbed on the Riverfront Times, because nobody else is really covering it that much.
Right.
And
they're really sad about it, so they're covering it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, because they're looking at it as a credible source of journalism.
Right.
And that's not what I saw the RFT as.
No.
I saw the RFT as opinion writing. They did cover stories. They covered stories that other people would not cover. They had a very extremist left view of things, but they were honest about it.
Yeah.
So you give them credit for that. They hated some of the things that we value, and vice versa. Okay. But there should be room for anybody to be able to say what they want. The market just spoke and said, there's no more room for you here.
Yeah. And they kind of, they managed to mismanage their way out of existence, because the thing is, print media was already on the way out.
Yeah.
Print media is in massive trouble all around the country, regardless of how big of a publication you are. New York Times had to reorganize and do all these things. They're the paper of record, right? But you have to make adjustments for the market. And while they were they were posting on Instagram and getting probably a decent following. Q was one of them.
And they probably still will.
And they probably
It'll
still
just be run somebody from some corporate headquarters.
They're probably
and
going to
they'll
keep that portion of it.
aggregate stuff from other sources.
Yep. So while they were doing that, though, they're continuing to diminish on the print side, which they were just giving away for free anyway. Like I said, so I mean, to be fair, it did really make good, kindling for my barbecue. Like seriously, because you're walking out with a bag of briquettes, and you're like, "How am I going to start this?" Oh, there's a Riverfront Times on my way out, and I just grab a handful.
Well, the other part of it is the business model is very different.
Yeah.
You sell advertisements to support your business. That's what you do in media.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are only so many of those dollars to go around. And with the Riverfront Times, they were owned by different groups. Ray Hartman started them in like 1977. Of course, Ray ended up selling it a long time ago. Then he was on Donnybrook forever, and he still wrote for the Riverfront Times. Now he's actually running for Congress against Ann Wagner. Almost nobody's taken note of that, which doesn't speak well for his campaign. But he wants to be the Democratic nominee to run against Wagner in there. So with the Riverfront Times, I don't have a problem with a left-wing voice being in the market. If you can compete and you can have an audience and you can find supporters to do it, good for you. Then that means I need to get better at my voice to counter the opinions that you're putting out there, and let's have a debate. And that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that there are so many leftist and left-wing voices in the marketplace.
Yeah. There's kind of a glut in the market.
Yeah.
It really is. They're overrepresented, as they say.
And the market corrected.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
Institutions come and institutions go, and almost 50 years, 46, 47 years is a long time. It's long enough to have traditions on it, and we make all the jokes about it, with the sketchy ads in the back, and well, where am I going to find my overnight Asian masseuse with code words in it? I mean, well, there's probably an app or there's probably another website if you want to go look for stuff like that.
I mean, that's how I found my lesbian interpretive dance classes.
There you go. See, I mean, there's something for it's all about inclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Is where this is. All right, what do we got here? We've got
call coming in
here. All right, is this Rob? Is it?
I believe so.
Rob, hey Rob, you're on News Talk STL. What do you think?
Could be wrong.
I'm not Rob.
Yep, there it is. It says Rob.
Oh, sorry.
On the caller ID, it came through.
Sorry. What's your name?
I'm the same name as your name.
Oh, Mike. Oh. Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, Mike.
That's okay. Look, I'm going to date myself, and maybe some of your older listeners will remember what the Post-Dispatch did to the journals. They bought them up because they were competition.
Yep.
And if you don't think that they got their sticky fingers in this, I would not be surprised that they were not part of this Riverfront Times removal.
Yeah, there's a corporate entity. I think we're going to find out who bought it. It very well could be because that wasn't just St. Louis, by the way, Mike. That happened in cities all over the country. The dominant newspaper or newspapers, if they had more than one, they would go to these neighborhood papers and just start buying them up and say, well, we're supporting local journalism we're going to buy it and then run it locally there. And then what happens, it all just ends up getting eaten up with the end of the corporate entity. Oh, lose Mike?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, shouldn't have, but I don't know.
Thanks,
right.
Mike.
Hey, Mike, appreciate you being part of the show here. All right, 314-912-1019, because, I mean, hey, the Post-Dispatch isn't exactly swimming in money right now either. People are rejecting the Post-Dispatch as well. But the Riverfront Times, there are some things that did really well. It did really well as far as like the concerts, the nightlife, the restaurant reviews. And, there were some, you wanted to know what quirky festival was out there.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, but then at one point all of a sudden they're competing with Facebook events.
Yeah.
Meetup, Eventbrite. I mean, they're competing with a lot of different things in the marketplace.
Their Instagram's going to survive, though.
Yeah.
They're going to keep doing that stuff.
There will be something with the Riverfront Times name, but the reality is that the Riverfront Times, as St. Louis knows it, is gone, and that is a market reaction from what we can tell. But yeah, the corporate thing about buying up and stuff, that's part of the market too.
Yeah.
It's the ugly part.
Yeah.
But that's the way that it goes. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
But it's strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make it cry or sing.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Here's a home run, and the Cardinals
Cardinals lead it 1-0. Walker bombs one over the right field wall.
Kick off your summer at Busch Stadium on Saturday, June 8th with the Cardinals and the Rockies. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will leave with their very own bobblehead of a St. Louis favorite. He was acquired from the Rockies back in 2004, Larry Walker. This unique bobblehead is sponsored by the Shane Company and will be a great addition to your bobblehead collection. That's Saturday, June 8th. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Hey kids, you will not want to miss the Cardinals one-of-a-kind jersey giveaway coming up on Sunday, June 9th. That day, the Cardinals host the Rockies, and 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket will take home their very own neon Cardinals jersey, thanks to High Chew. That's not all. Following the game, kids 15 and younger can participate in the High Chew Kids Run the Bases. For tickets or more details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is the show that starts my morning every day. Mike, Gabe, Stell, plus don't forget my program, Larry Connors USA, 6 to 8 p.m.
Kind of along the lines of what Mike just said when he called in, Blues Nut says, wouldn't surprise me if the RFT turned into the Soros front time. I'm telling you, he's everywhere in media.
You know, you're not wrong.
I'll just leave it at that. He's
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Mhm.
And Barely Biggs, to the market aspect of it on Rumble, Barely Biggs says, would they read RFT if it weren't free? See, that's a big test.
Yeah.
Would they read it if it were not free? Probably not.
No.
I mean, for instance, how many people do you know that see a story from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and they click and they're like, it's behind a paywall. I'm not paying. I'm not
Oh
giving
well,
them
yeah,
money.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not paying them.
Hit so fast.
I know.
Yeah, where's the close? Where's the close button?
Like,
Just-
no,
get out of
not
here. Go away.
doing that.
Mhm.
All right, 7:52. Mike Ferguson here. Got Gabe. Got his Quentin is in for Stell today. Okay, I found this thing. It's one of these surveys that YouGov did,
Mhm.
and sometimes I don't know why they do these surveys. It's like there's no real purpose in life for this, but apparently half birthdays are a thing now.
I've
Have
heard.
you heard?
Of the
I've never
I've heard of the
about
half
this.
birthday thing.
Have you heard about this?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. Okay.
It's usually ladies talking about their half
Is it?
birthday.
Okay.
Because
Or the
the thing
babies.
is, ladies have a birthday month, like the month that they were born, they take it.
That's my
It's like,
wife.
this is my birthday month. Hey,
Yep.
everybody. And that now half birthdays. So
Okay.
I imagine the next step is half birthday month. So they will have 2 months of the year that celebrate them.
My wife, her birthday is in June,
Mhm.
and she's renamed it Ray June.
Ray
'cause it's
June.
Rachel's June.
Hilarious.
And her line of thinking is, well, I don't want to deny anybody the chance to take me out for coffee or lunch. And you can't fit everybody.
Busy schedules, right? So, you know.
So it's Ray June.
Ray June.
So my wife, to my knowledge, does not do a half birthday. And
To your knowledge.
to my knowledge,
Not yet.
no.
Maybe she hadn't had the idea. You're giving a wrong thing.
I
right
know.
now.
So somebody did a survey here because there's a trend. 24% of Americans say, I would love to go to a half birthday party.
Really?
23% say this is dumb.
Okay. All
Everybody
right.
else is basically going,
What?
in the world are you talking
What?
about? So half the population has an opinion on this.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess and just say half the country are just looking for excuses to go out and drink and eat cake.
There it is.
And it's like
Minus the
this
cake.
is a legitimate excuse to go out and party because it's a half birthday, right?
There you
It's
go.
like, hey, it's a birthday, everybody. Hey, and you do the drink up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the other reasons we could come up with? Let's just have a party today. It's like, I don't know. I washed my car today.
Hey, clean car day.
This survey was 14,000 people strong. That was a big survey.
That is a big sample.
Somebody asked 14,000.
It's a bigger
people.
sample than the political poll.
The political polls.
Exactly. Like 300 people in a political poll.
Yeah,
it affects the whole country.
And you'll see a headline on Fox or on CNN. It's like, new survey reports that, this candidate has 8%. Well, who'd you ask? Carl. He was over in the line. He was in line with me at the the cashier checkout.
Yeah, there were 10 people in line with me at QT, and I asked each one of them.
Oh man. But I think you're right though. I think it's like just looking for an excuse, maybe not even just for the celebration, but another excuse to say, I want to be the center of attention.
Oh, also that. Oh, absolutely that. I think more so it's probably people claiming it for themselves. It's like, oh, I would love to celebrate my half birthday.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, bring me presents, by the way.
I don't even have my birthday on my Facebook page. I mean, I don't list it.
Right.
Because I think one of the dumbest things that happened is
the notifications.
All the notifications. And I know some people bask in it, but this is just me. And if you disagree with me, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings on this, but people are so lazy now. They don't even send you a note or a card saying happy birthday, Gabe, or happy birthday, Q. It's just HBD. We can't even type it out.
As you're rolling out of bed.
Right.
It's like, I got notifications. Oh, it's Sam's birthday. All right.
No, HBD.
HBD.
Now I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yep. There you go. Or you send a GIF, that with the little fireworks or something.
Well, at
Like,
least
happy
that
birthday.
took a little bit of something.
It's a three clicks.
Exactly.
That one took 3 clicks.
Emoji.
But
Emoji.
That's where we're at now, is that some people are looking for any reason to be the center of attention, and other people are saying, let's not even tell people I have a birthday.
Yeah.
We're
in the extremes now.
Yeah.
I mean, we celebrate the craziest holidays just to go drink.
Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Blackout Friday.
Blackout Friday. What's
Blackout Friday?
Right before Thanksgiving, where all the kids come. See,
Yeah.
it's not even.
It's new. It's new.
Reason to
Instead of
drink.
Black Friday, they celebrate Blackout Friday. So they drink so much that
Drink
they
so
black
much they
out
black out.
on the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Really?
That's a thing.
Yeah.
It's becoming a thing.
Yeah, it's
That's what the kids say. It's
Yeah.
lit.
Blackout Friday?
Yeah.
Was it Blackout Wednesday? The day before, I think it's Blackout Wednesday.
Oh, Blackout Wednesday.
So you're hungover and sick while your family's
you're
trying to
eating,
gather.
watching football.
So,
Yeah, great.
so you got your sunglasses on as grandma's giving the prayer over the turkey.
Yeah. You're hungover and you're sick. Here, have the stuffing and have all
It's
the
like, Grandma, I already prayed. I prayed at the toilet while I was I was clutching the throne because it's cold and I need it.
Again, the
Crazy.
cabin out in the middle of nowhere, as I get older,
Sounded better and better.
and
Mhm.
better and better.
People are
every
weird.
day. Oh, good night.
Happy birthday, Mark.
It's not my.
It's not your half birthday?
No, mine's in December,
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So is mine. So we have the same half birthday.
and we can go and not celebrate it
I
together.
will fight you for the month.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapons Systems in Fenton. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. One state's public university establishment may have had enough of so-called diversity or DEI programs. Those initiatives, along with some jobs, are on the chopping block.
The governing board of North Carolina's public university system is expected to consider a proposal that suggests that various positions, such as diversity officers and liaisons, would be eliminated. The proposal passed through the board's University Governance Committee last month. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, has become one of the most contentious issues on college campuses in recent years. I'm Donna Warder.
House Republicans have summoned the leaders of Northwestern and Rutgers universities to Capitol Hill today. The chancellor of UC Los Angeles also expected to appear. A hearing to focus on concessions they gave anti-Israel protesters to convince them to end their demonstrations. A high-profile former prosecutor in Baltimore facing her own sentencing today.
Marilyn Mosby, the former state's attorney for Baltimore, is to be sentenced in Greenbelt, Maryland on perjury and mortgage fraud charges. Mosby was convicted by two separate juries of lying about her finances to improperly withdraw deferred retirement funds under provisions of the COVID Relief Act. She used the $90,000 for down payments on 2 vacation homes in Florida. The government argued that was improper because she falsely claimed the pandemic had harmed her travel-oriented side business. Mosby gained a national profile during the failed prosecution of 6 police officers in the 2015 death of Freddie Gray. I'm Jennifer King.
Former President Trump, his New York trial in recess until next week, holds a rally today in New York City. Take place in a park in the Bronx. Former Trump challenger Nikki Haley says she will be voting for Mr. Trump. She calls Joe Biden a catastrophe. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 84 points. NASDAQ futures 230 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Madame Giselle senses something big coming. Is it a career change? Everything looks wet. I'm going to be a swim teacher. There's a roof. A swim teacher who also does roofing. No. The roof of your RV has a leak and it's ruining the furniture. Oh, that's okay. I'm covered by Progressive. But maybe I'm a swim teaching roofer who makes furniture.
Customize your coverage with Progressive's Roof Protection Plus and be prepared for the unexpected. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Roof Protection Plus.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage, and we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Seems like the more we dig into everything, Rand Paul has been running herd on this.
Mm-hmm.
We dig into what they knew and when they knew it regarding anything related to COVID,
Yep.
the worse it gets for them.
Yes. Yes.
And
The
I'm
other
saying
side.
this is the time to be tribal here.
Oh,
get to that
absolutely.
here in just a second here, because National Institute of Health, one of the lieutenants for Anthony Fauci, testifying and confirming that they were trying to hide information and misdirect people from it.
Yeah. Remember the ministers of misinformation? You know, they're on there just shutting down people's websites, destroying, people's livelihoods on Twitter or Facebook or everywhere else, saying, hey, you're spreading misinformation by floating this theory that we know is true.
Yeah, the grandma killer you that you are daring to challenge the narrative that's happening out there. So let's get into that here in just a second. By the way, you all in the Rumble chat box?
Yo, wildin'.
If you ain't there, where you at? I mean, I think we got about 3 debates going on. By the way, all of the
simultaneously,
all of the ideas on what to do with the Riverfront Times.
Or what you used to do is I'm gonna miss this and that, and the use of the physical paper that is hilarious.
Oh,
it is
my
so
goodness.
funny.
Yes.
Oh my god. What? Yeah, that's a question, I guess. What did you use the Riverfront Times for? What are you gonna miss about the Riverfront Times?
And if you have an anonymous account, go ahead and admit it.
Yeah. Just go ahead.
I'll just say
admit
that.
it.
Just go ahead and admit it there. Oh my goodness. All right. So all right, here let's
Fly swatter. You just roll it up.
Roll it up.
This is good tight.
That's a classic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can't go wrong with that. Okay, there is a lieutenant, kind of not a military lieutenant, but an
operative
underling of Dr. Anthony Fauci at the National Institutes of Health, Dr. David Morens, and he testified before Congress yesterday because through Freedom of Information Act request and all this digging that many in Congress, Republicans in Congress, are doing right now, especially Rand Paul, who is not. Rand Paul's like a dog with a bone on this. He is not letting go.
Yeah.
And there are now emails that confirm that this guy, David Morens, in trying to protect not just Anthony Fauci, but trying to protect their narrative, was directing some people within the departments to use my personal email address.
Right.
I think it was a Gmail address. And also at one point literally wrote and said, we figured out how to make some emails disappear after a FOIA request. Literally how to delete them.
In his government email.
Right. He actually said that.
Yeah.
And he was, apologizing at the hearing yesterday. And did you delete any? Well, gosh darn it, I just can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I'm sorry I did.
Yeah, but I'm sorry about that. But I just don't remember.
I don't remember that I did, but I'm sorry that I did. And don't convict me.
In other words, don't throw me in jail. So this shows you the bigger picture, because what's happening here, don't think for a minute that this is about COVID-19. Okay. Even the U.S. government officially now recognizes that the particular virus that caused it, that led to everything, I'm not going to say caused it, government caused it, that they accept now that this came from a lab in Wuhan, China.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even what the debate is. They were hiding at the time. That's part of what this is all about.
Yes.
What resulted were governments taking phenomenal and in many countries unprecedented control of their citizens. Now, you can't say it's unprecedented in China because they already took that kind of control. New Zealand, Australia, Canada, the United States, Europe. I mean, all of these different countries.
I have to reiterate the fact that they literally created a concentration camp for COVID-19 positive people in Australia.
Right.
That actually happened in a Western country.
They built like little sheds.
Yeah.
For people and
fenced them
in and imprisoned people, whether they were sick or not.
Right.
They may have had tested positive for COVID-19, but there's about half of the people who tested positive for it weren't sick.
They had zero symptoms.
Right. Which is why, remember, I mean, whether it was the mall in Fairview Heights or the parking lot there or drive-thrus in the county, they were begging people to do the drive-through testing.
Mm-hmm.
So we had something that was so deadly, we have to stop it, that we have to find out whether or not you have it because you probably can't tell because you're not sick.
It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we look at this right now, we're looking at the obvious corruption. Somebody saying, I know what the law is. I know what transparency demands. And we're going to blatantly go out of our way to say, here's how we're going to hide it and not turn these over because I want to protect Anthony Fauci, because I want to protect these researchers. And what's happening is they're trying to not admit that we funded the gain of research,
the gain of function research
mm-hmm. that very well probably, frankly, looks like it did create the virus that went out there. Listen, unfortunately, famously or infamously was in that first wave of patients.
Mm-hmm.
When we were all over at the other station, I was hospitalized.
Your case was deadly.
I
potentially deadly.
I was in the room with a ventilator.
Oh, wow.
I was in the hospital. I was in MOBAP for about a week and a half. Back when it was the novel virus.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of versions of the virus, it's the flu. It's a cold. You may not even feel. Even when I got sick, half the people we now believe who got the virus had no symptoms, had no idea they were sick. So
even the novel,
right. And so I had a bad reaction. Yes, I 100% blame not just the Chinese government for what happened because they developed the virus. I also blame the United States government for the cover-ups and also the bigger picture. And this is funny because I got asked to do a whole bunch of news interviews after I got out of the hospital, and my voice was scratchy. I was coughing, all that kind of stuff. And I was asked right away because I had a television show that was syndicated. I had, a bunch of these stations saying, hey, we carry your show. Can you do an interview with us? Can you get on Zoom or whatever? Or radio interviews. I did those all over the mostly the Midwest, but a couple other countries or a couple other parts of the country. And so I did those. And then the reaction was, well, so, you support, that's when lockdowns were stopping. You're obviously going to support, people staying away from each other and staying home and, shutting down for a little bit. And I went, no, I don't. I don't support that. And boy, did my invitations to be on news dry up really fast.
All of a sudden, they didn't want to talk to you, did they, Mike?
All of a sudden, I said, no, we can't sacrifice our freedom for this.
Right.
Yeah, I said, but I'm saying be extra careful. Take common sense precautions.
Right.
Like you would in a flu season.
Yeah.
And that was my take. And suddenly I wasn't asked to be a guest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost after about a week, it dried up very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, once they got a whiff of the opinions you were expressing elsewhere, they were like, wait a second.
That's not what we want.
Yeah, you're not feeding our narrative.
Correct. And nobody wanted to hear that perspective from somebody who had a little bit of cred. And so that's what we're seeing right now is that this mindset goes back to the very beginning. That's why, and we talked about this with Carl Higbee from Newsmax yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've got to make up our mind now that we are going to be ungovernable.
Right.
Because let's say the next time they say there's a big virus that's coming, and they keep trying that, by the way.
Mm-hmm. They keep testing the waters with various viruses.
Testing it, whether it's remember, we were supposed to have a bunch of variants of COVID by now that was going to kill us all.
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact they were saving the Omega variant. They were saving Omega to name a new variant because they wanted that ahead of this coming election. I know for a fact
Think
that they
so?
were.
Yep.
I know that they were salivating. It's like, oh, when that variant comes in 2024, we're gonna call it Omega.
And all this talk with, Donald Trump gets elected, it's going to be death to the democracy, to their democracy.
Yeah.
This is when it all gets, accountability is going to start coming out.
Their control.
There's zero accountability, like
Oh,
we were
yeah.
talking about earlier.
Well, that's the thing is when people started pushing back, it wasn't because we wanted to go make out and spread a virus.
Right.
We said
It's not
we want
monkeypox.
our lives back, and we.
Sorry.
Nice.
Oh no, he's ready.
Monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox, monkeypox, oh monkey, 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 monkeypox.
It was
I had
all
the
about
base there.
Yeah, it was all about control.
Yeah, it
was-
is about control.
That's what it was about.
And
When
they keep
people-
testing us.
Yeah, because when people started pushing back, originally it was this is illegal because we've issued an order. Well, it turns out the courts have said no, those orders were illegal, and you can't do that again. Then it was trying to do the social shaming. There was the fear mongering, and people fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah.
And then it became tribal, and to some degree, it's still tribal. There are still people who say, "Well, I trust the people in the white coats and with the PhDs, not you."
Right. He's like,
you
are you
activist?"
are you an epidemiologist?
Right.
Well, no, but I know how colds spread because I've had one or two.
Yeah. And so when you see what's happening right now in this testimony by this Dr. Morans, apologizing for
a cover-up,
acknowledging a cover-up,
Mhm.
trying to stop short of saying something that would get him prosecuted. But it goes back to say that at no point was this ever about your health.
Not at all.
No point
Nope.
was this ever about keeping you safe. And that goes for Anthony Fauci. That goes for Tashara Jones. That goes for J.B. Pritzker. That sure as hell goes for Sam Page.
Mhm. My goodness.
That's what it goes with Mike Parson because he did it too.
Mhm.
It doesn't have anything to do with protecting your health. And so right now their crisis is not let's prevent the next outbreak. Their crisis is how do we rebuild trust and have people believe us again?
Yes, because we need that trust in order to get the power that we're going to want the next time the thing comes around, or maybe the next time we manufacture a thing to come around.
For my syndicated radio show, American Viewpoints, you can hear it on News Talk STL every Sunday morning. I still get pitches, like PR people send you like, hey, here's this guest. Would you consider this? And I get a lot of good guests from these agencies. I still get them from the CDC.
Oh my gosh, the CDC.
I still get them. Hey, we've got a CDC expert. And oftentimes it's on something that's completely unrelated to COVID. It's something that, is pretty mundane. But I would get a follow-up from one every once in a while. Hey, Mike, because normally it's all just automatic stuff and I'm in a list and they send it out. And that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
But then it was like, hey, Mike, we're trying to get this person on. Would you? And I actually at one point emailed back and said, you have no credibility. Nobody believes you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And their quandary right now is we have to rebuild that. So let's go find the things that, hey, you know what? You should watch out for me. I know whatever it is that they're going to do, but they know that they don't have people's trust because they've proven they're not worthy of trust.
Yeah.
The St. Louis County Department of Health does not deserve your trust.
Not at all.
They lied.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've told the story here on this station is after I got out of the hospital, they report all this to the health department, which I'm now questioning whether or not they should be doing that. I know the law allows it. And I got this packet in the mail from the health department that said all these things that I can and can't do.
Yeah,
but at the end
package
of
of things the libertarian can or can't do. Yeah,
right.
How well did that go over, Mike?
Well, at the bottom of it, it said sign here and send this back in. You're required to sign and send it in.
Oh, really?
So basically, they said we order you to sign a contract giving up your freedom and submitting to us.
Oh, I think you talked about this. Man, I forgot.
Yeah,
gosh,
that's crazy.
Well, let me tell you what happened with that.
That's what happened.
Right into the trash.
Mm-hmm. Round file for you.
But they would also call. They would have somebody call, and it was usually a young person, and the phone number could come from anywhere. So I'm pretty sure it was either interns or
a little phone
entry-level
bank
employees.
someplace. Yeah,
yeah. And they were wanting to know my symptoms, what my temperature was, and they were trying. At first, I'm like, yeah, no big deal. because we didn't know what we were dealing with. And then after a few days, one of them said, well, you're not allowed to do this or that. And I went, whoa.
What do you mean not allowed?
I said, what's this? He goes, well, you got to report. I said, no, I don't. I said, you do that stuff. Again, I said, I've
stuff you can't say on the radio.
Yeah, I said, I've voluntarily cooperated with you people.
Mhm.
I said, but you don't think you actually have authority over me, do you? Oh yeah, we're the health department, and you are still in your period of quarantine, and after, and like, no. I said, I don't answer to you,
right?
And I said, I'm not taking these calls anymore, and I didn't. It's none of your business.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And that's what we have to have right off the bat. But what we're going to deal with is an onslaught of, look at you people. You didn't learn anything from COVID, where all these people died, which very few actually died of the virus itself.
Yeah.
Now, pretty much everybody died of a comorbidity.
Mhm.
Some people died of an unrelated reason,
But they were listed as
COVID. And
Yeah.
there were other people who died that had nothing to do with COVID because their other medical services were closed down.
That's right.
During COVID.
Remember the non-essential services that were shut down because, oh my gosh, there's going to be a wave of people who need all these medical services. But what we ended up getting was TikTok videos of nurses dancing because they had nothing to do.
Dialysis clinics were shut down.
Yes.
That's not emergent.
No.
Cancer screenings
Mhm.
and general practitioners who could have spotted stuff shut down.
Yep.
Because it wasn't emergent. The cardiologist that I worked with, because I had a heart condition called SVT, which is they've taken care of, they could not get me into a surgery without kicking, scratching, fighting, and everything else because it wasn't emergent. I wasn't having a heart attack at that moment.
Mhm.
And I'll be really honest. I'll just say it out loud. If I weren't a media personality, I don't know if they get me into St. Luke's and do that.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that could have been a deadly situation because it's setting up, we talked about preventative care. Remember that whole discussion way back when it's like, hey, you know what? An ounce of
prevention is
worth a pound of cure, and it's like, you got to take care of your health because you want to prevent these advanced things. Well, they destroyed all preventative care for a period of time.
And they've never acknowledged we were wrong. We lied. We have to do better. Here's what we're doing to fix the problem, to earn your trust back. We're still finding out that they're trying to hide things.
Yeah. It's worse than we were mistaken.
Yeah.
It's we knew and we hid it from you for power.
All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversation.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Charlottesville was a little beat, and the hate wasn't the kind of hate that you have here. There's an anti-Semitic surge here that has terrible consequences.
We will continue to protest.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records.
There are 34 of them alleged.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
All right, time to invest in your home. I mean, spring cleaning is probably done by now because we're looking at summertime right here. But one of the things you should do is look around your home and say, where can I increase the value? Where can I increase the performance? Where can I increase the security of my home? And a lot of people don't realize that your windows are a great place to do that. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Window World. By the way, if you look at our social media, my next video from Window World, which goes into depth about their warranty, and I say in depth, it's literally like a minute-long video. But when they say they have a lifetime warranty on those windows, that means you buy it one time and you don't have to fix it again. Matter of fact, you sell your home, you can actually brag in the listing that these have Window World windows with a lifetime warranty because that's transferable. Check out our Rumble page, check out our Facebook and Twitter and all that. And you can see that video on there. Give them a call today, 314-993-1800. Over 70,000 customers in St. Louis have Window World windows. And what that means is that every one of those windows is covered by that lifetime warranty. Now, Window World windows are double strength. They are superior to the other windows, the generic windows. And the thing is that they cost less. Window World, by the way, does siding and they do custom doors as well. But windows is where you ought to start. Give them a call today. Get that in-home estimate. You got that window, it's just getting old, having trouble moving the latch there, or it won't stay open or it won't stay shut. swelling during different times of the year. You've got that draft going in from the summertime where that some of your air conditioning is being wasted, or in the wintertime when your furnace and your heat's being wasted. That's where Window World saves you money. It's also, when you look at all the storms that have come through, how many windows around the area have been cracked because of the hail? Well, Window World stands up to that. 314-993-1800. Get your free in-home estimate today. And by the way, they treat you the way you should be treated. They are not coming in determined to get that contract signed right now. They're going to take some measurements. They're going to give you a quote. They're going to answer your questions. They're going to show you the product. They're going to try to be in and out of your way in about 45 minutes, and then let you and your family, or you and whoever you want to talk it over with, go over the pros, go over the cons, decide for yourself, and you let them know when you're ready. Why? Because they're St. Louisans too, and we've all had to deal with that person knocking on the door saying, hey, I'm doing shingles on the street here. Let me do yours. Well, let me do that. Let me get you a quote. Come on. Why don't you sign that contract? We've all been there. They don't do that. They treat you the way they should be treated. I don't know that I've met a group of people, whether it's John or JB or any of the others there, who are so passionate about their customer service reviews. Their reputation here in St. Louis means everything to them. And that means that they do whatever it takes, not just to get a good score on Yelp or with the BBB or anything else, but to make sure that you as a neighbor, you as a St. Louisan, know that they did a good job. They met and delivered what they promised, and that you can count on them as part of this community. 314-993-1800. Tell them that you heard Mike talking about them on the radio and get your free in-home estimate today.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Sugar Creek Golf Course is located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Dr. Tobler, Missouri is looking to execute an inmate diagnosed with heart failure. Attorneys are requesting that he not be executed because of that condition.
Well, I scratch my head on this one. Someone, maybe he read some inside information about how to avoid execution by getting heart failure, and he started adding extra salt to his hamburger. I don't know.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Where are you going to get your leftist viewpoints in the media now that the RFT is going in under?
All the rest of the media?
anything not called News Talk STL?
Pretty much.
All right, and we've now got the update on the teen girl who, frankly, cracked another girl's skull open. What's next in her legal defense? And Cardinals. Let's not jinx it. Let's just say they have won some baseball games lately.
Okay.
Let's not label it.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Just saying. All right. It is 8:27 right now. We just quick follow-up what we were just talking about a second ago. Former advisor for Anthony Fauci testifying to Congress about past emails revealing that he tried to delete messages regarding the origins of COVID-19 during the entire fear-mongering and shutdown era. Dr. David Morans apologizing to lawmakers during that hearing, but saying, I just don't remember if I actually deleted any of the records regarding coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm sorry I said I was going to delete them. I don't remember if I actually did delete them.
Yeah.
Please don't prosecute me.
He was actually caught when they were discovered his email saying, take this email conversation to my private one so that we can protect the system here. And then also, I've figured out how to make these, or I've been told how to make these emails be deleted and go away. after a Freedom of Information Act request. So they thought nothing of any sort of accountability or transparency. After those hearings, Congressman Brad Wenstrup out of Ohio was on the Ingram angle on Fox.
Tony. The other thing he says is Tony doesn't want his fingerprints over any of this stuff to do with origins of COVID. So it tells you right there what he was doing and working outside the box illegally. And we're pursuing this in every aspect.
All right. The hearings continue. And what's happening right now, the next step is we know there were cover-ups. We know there were lies. We know they were costly in every way imaginable. Now it becomes basically about whether the hard left is going to be able to protect government power if they get to declare an emergency. And that's really what we're fighting over, is not liberals bad, conservatives good, or anything like that, because there were conservatives who fell into this mindset as well. It really comes about, will we safeguard our freedoms from government overreach if and when another, maybe even a real health threat happens someday?
I will not comply.
Right. Same here. All right. A St. Louis judge rules that Marnise Decloux will be tried as a juvenile. Now, she's a teenager seen on that video in that fight with Kaylee Gain near Hazelwood East High School. Both girls were students there, although Gain had been suspended at the time. Gain suffered brain damage. Not clear from the video who started the fight or why. The judge cited the fact that Decloux does not have a criminal record as one of the reasons to keep the case in juvenile court. But of course, both families have gone online and gone on social media in order to do GoFundMes and fundraisers and told us who they are. So they're public names now. So we don't know what the rest of the process is going to look like. They're still figuring out the schedule, but we do know that even if, and remember, that's if Marnise Decloux is convicted, that it will be juvenile sentencing and consequences as opposed to being tried as an adult with something that could have kept her in prison for decades.
Yeah, there's definitely an upper limit to it, and it will be expunged at some point. It has an expiration date, so it won't follow her for the rest of her life like a criminal conviction as an adult would.
Right, precisely. Okay, the Riverfront Times, according to multiple reports, is no longer, at least it won't be as St. Louis has known it for decades. The entire staff was laid off yesterday, and news broke that it's been sold. No word on what, if anything, will become in the publication at this point. But guys, it looks very clear it's not going to be locally based content.
Losing Out on Rumble said more people use RFT to line litter boxes, start grill fires, clean windows, and spills than read it.
Okay, so you got to start buying your own rags and kindling.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the way it is.
Hey, but newspaper is good for getting a streak-free clean on your mirrors.
That's true.
I had no clue.
Yeah. You just got to saturate the paper.
You learn something new every day.
All right, officially there.
On my mirror.
It won't run. The colors don't run.
All right, officially there was one game on the schedule, but the Cardinals racked up 2 wins on Wednesday. So the first win was Tuesday's game that got suspended by rain.
Oh, right, yeah.
What's that?
Are we talking playoffs?
No,
Cardinals?
Let's
don't jinx it.
Let's not go crazy.
Don't
here.
jinx it.
Don't talk about playoffs. You can't.
Let's not go crazy.
You can't talk about
just
playoffs.
Let's just say
win in the playoffs.
So the Cardinals won that suspended game when they resumed 3-1. After that, the Redbirds came from behind, won the series finale 5-4. Mason Wynn having a home run in that game gives the Cardinals their first series sweep of the season. They've won some series, but this is the first time they've swept a series. And it's the first time since 22 that the Orioles were swept.
Oh, wow.
A series.
Okay.
So we're seeing some sparks of life with the Cardinals. Let's not go nuts with it. Let's not jinx it. But let's just saying that they've won some baseball games lately, and we're seeing that they can.
I mean, what can we jinx? It's the Cardinals. What is there to jinx? Mason Wynn is going to be a star.
The Cardinal way.
There we go.
Just stay cool, guys. Stay cool.
Gotta run for shelter. Gotta run for shade. It's too hot.
You're listening to News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
early morning showers and storms move out today and make way for a quiet break for most of your Thursday. Will be partly cloudy, turning more humid, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, but lots of dry time in the mix as well, down to 69 for the low. And then tomorrow, Friday, right back into the action. Periods of rain, some on and off thunderstorms, severe weather once again on the table. Our primary concerns would be hail and some gusty winds. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shea.
Fox News commentary.
The FBI agents who raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago were permitted to use deadly force when necessary. This is wild, even by deep state standards. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
True downfall of democracy began in 2022 when Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home was raided by the FBI, but it gets worse. According to newly unsealed court documents, FBI agents were permitted to use deadly force when necessary. A reminder, the raid itself was signed off on by Biden's AG Merrick Garland. If the DOJ was going in looking for classified documents and government records, why the heck was deadly force on the table? This is beyond unsettling that Biden's DOJ would have the leeway to use deadly force on a former president. But there's more. Agents carrying out the raid were instructed to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and plan to bring standard issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, and medium and large size bolt cutters. When Americans express concern about the deep state, this is what we are referring to. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Trying to follow all these, things have lit up in the Rumble chat box. Say, this is great, guys.
Oh, it's been this way the entire show. Seems.
Yeah.
By the way, this song is still just the Rush intro to me. That's all it is.
Pretenders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is the song that he used to intro his show every day for decades.
It's funny because I think that they did that thing where they tried to say he's not allowed to use our song.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We don't give him permission.
They tried to do that. Yeah.
But he paid the royalties. He paid the fees. So
right.
Shut up and take the check.
Take the money.
Yeah.
Notoriety.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
So many things to talk about.
Yes.
Like, pick one, Mike. Pick
All
one.
right. I'm seeing this on the news, like in the national cable stuff. And when I got up this morning and I got in and I'm looking at all the different sources that I use, the news soundbite services and all that sort of thing. One of the things that they had as a headline news, Nikki Haley says she's going to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki Haley also said at whatever thing she was speaking at, that she thinks Donald Trump should be reaching out to people outside of MAGA and to those who supported other candidates.
Mhm.
I don't think that's a controversial statement.
It shouldn't be.
But, but then they news like I actually saw one breaking news.
Oh, yeah.
Nikki Haley says she will be voting for Trump. Like breaking news.
Yeah, with like the big
Right.
light emojis, the red lights, the flashing emojis. Yes.
Okay.
What are file under duh?
Yeah, I mean, a Republican says they're going to vote for a Republican.
Right.
Wow.
But they are running with this as though it's something completely unexpected. Or here's the thing. Nikki Haley dropped out because she lost every one of those. She wasn't a factor
right
in the end result. She ran a race that lasted longer, I think, than a lot. But I don't think anybody, including me, I don't think any of us thought she was going to outlast Ron DeSantis.
Oh no, yeah.
In the race.
I wasn't expecting that.
Right. And so
But she got a lot of Democrat money.
She did, yeah.
So I think that helped.
Which is kind of the confusing thing. I look up, I'm like, why am I supposed to run with the news? Because it's in the news dump that we do. I didn't find it newsworthy that Nikki Haley is voting for the Republican nominee. Now, we had a lot to say during the RNC trying to micromanage the campaign.
Yes.
And I think they did micromanage. I think they did a horrible job.
They
I
botched
think they showed why the RNC is unworthy of support. We'll see what the new management can do with it.
The new boss.
But it's one of the reasons I consider myself a very conservatarian independent. I just don't have a loyalty to a party. The party can earn my support, but I don't go, oh, I hate everything you're doing, but gosh darn it, I've got the same letter behind my name, so I guess I'm going to support you. I don't roll like that.
I go candidate by candidate.
Yeah, they're candidate by candidate, issue by issue.
Race by race too.
Oh,
yeah,
because there's some races, like if it's locked in for the Republican, I'll feel and I feel some kind of way about the Republican nominee. I might lodge a protest vote.
Sure,
I might do that.
Yeah,
just because it's like that's my way of signaling to the RNC that okay, you don't own my vote. You do have to earn it. But at the same time, it's like I'm not going to sabotage you versus the Democrat because I know they're worse.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think what Nikki Haley was saying.
Yeah,
is that. She actually said, I think he's wrong on some policy things, but Joe Biden's catastrophe, I think is the word that she actually used. And so this was part of a Q&A thing at whatever she was speaking at. I guess I haven't paid attention to what Nikki Haley's been doing since she dropped out of the race, to be real honest. But what about the argument saying that she hopes to see Donald Trump reach out to those who backed other candidates? Now, normally in a general election race, that would just be expected.
It's a foregone conclusion.
Everything is different the last couple of things where basically the candidate and his core supporters, if you want to generically call it MAGA, you can do that, are basically saying, no, prove that you're worthy of being part of supporting this. And we expect you to vote this way.
Right.
And there are some people who say that, and others within the MAGA movement are saying, we really need to be reaching out and getting everybody else on board. That's the smart thing to do. And so when Nikki Haley says, I think he should be reaching out, to those who supported other candidates, that normally would not be a controversial thing.
I mean, this man just walked through the Bronx and got all the support in the world.
It's kind of wild. Let's go.
You need to reach out to.
Well, see, that's part of the but that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of people kind of jumping on his side, so I think on some level it feels, from I guess the MAGA perspective, the Donald Trump, supporter perspective, that he doesn't really need to reach out. People are reaching for him in desperation to get away from Biden, kind of things. So, which on some level can be true with some demographics, but I still think you got to go to the dance. You got to dance with the one that brought you, and the Republican Party is the one that brought you. And some of those people who this time around didn't initially support your candidacy, they still need to be courted on some level too, because having Republicans sit this out in the swing states is a death knell.
Right. See, that's the reason that you do look and say, well, what's worked in standard campaigning for 100 years is that, okay, you assemble everybody on our side, because it's not about whether or not there are going to be people who voted for Tim Scott or Ron DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy or Nikki Haley or whoever. It's not that you're worried about them necessarily going and showing up and voting for Biden. It's whether or not
they're going
to show up at all.
Yeah.
And in states like Georgia and in Pennsylvania and in, to some degree, Arizona,
Michigan,
and Wisconsin. And, that's a key thing, is that you need them to show up, whether they like you or not. You need them to show up. So it is good advice to say, okay, listen, you need to reach out and be the big tent candidate at this point. To say, all right, you supported somebody that I opposed, you supported somebody I mixed it up with, I called names, whatever the case is. Here's making the case why I should be your candidate. Remember, candidates are doing a job interview and they're asking for your support. They're asking for your job. It never should be a case where they show up and say, okay, here's what I'm entitled to. Explain to me why you have a different opinion. That's not healthy politics. That's not a healthy body politic.
Yeah, the disruptions in the unity of the Republican Party, both nationally and locally, and statewide even, has become a big issue these past couple years or so. And Chris Arps actually wrote an opinion piece for the Missouri Times talking about a house divided cannot stand. That's kind of where we are right now. It's like, come on, guys, we need to get this stuff together. We were talking about the failures of the state legislature, right? To enact all of the big red things. We gave you a big red legislature, but we didn't get any big red results. Right. So, that's a party divided, between the conservative wing and maybe an establishment wing, or however you want to call it. A rhino wing, some people might call it.
Well, but there is an establishment Republican, thing. I mean, for instance, and let's talk about, because you brought up the Missouri, the state stuff. That's a good example. Look at the race for governor.
Yeah.
Probably starting late June, early July, it's going to be intense, that particular primary race, and on the Democratic side, the Cori Bush versus Wesley Bell race.
Right. Yes.
As well. But on the Missouri side, it's really all about that race for governor. And I think there's a lot of people who just assume that one candidate's going to win over the others. And I am telling you that anything can happen. But for those who are conservative, who say Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe has no chance to win this, you're sleeping on somebody who is running a very, very good foundational campaign, gathering the support of a lot of very active organizations whose members show up and vote. So don't count out Mike Kehoe from winning this. Now, he's the establishment guy.
Right.
Jay Ashcroft is a conservative guy. Bill Eigel, absolutely not the establishment guy. He's the guy the establishment hates.
Clearly.
But you can't get so tunnel visioned that you assume that because you don't like somebody that everybody else doesn't like him or assesses them the same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so much to that, especially the idea of the get out the vote thing. I think people discount the idea that there's a large enough contingent that their absence from the polls can reshape the entirety of the outcome.
Right.
So they just kind of discount this. Oh, well, they're not voting anyway. A non-vote is a vote.
It's definitely an impact.
There's an impact. That's what I mean. There is an impact from non-votes, especially from people who typically would in another case, in another instance.
Or people who will show up, but will leave that one blank.
Oh, gosh, yes.
It's like, boy, I really feel strongly about this race for Congress, but I don't give a rip, or I'm so disgusted with this other race. I'm not even bothering in that one, because that happens too. They're called undervotes.
Yes.
Normally an undervote, the farther down you go, the more there are undervotes.
They're blanks, yeah.
So I'm going to show up and I'm going to vote for president.
I don't know who all these people are.
I don't know who's the state rep kid. I don't know who these people are. And they don't vote in those. Well, we're starting to see a little bit of that go the other way, to where it's like, hey, I feel pretty strongly about these candidates for Congress, like in the 3rd district in Missouri. I feel strongly about that, but man, I'm so disgusted with the race for president, the race for governor, and so those undervotes could actually become a thing.
And those people need to be convinced. They need to be convinced that their vote means something, that it's worth that it's worth giving to a particular candidate. And then, of course, there's the non-vote. They need to be convinced to go to the polls.
Well, and they're the voters, is that they are the ones who should be pursued.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
Yes, absolutely. Because they're not just going to hop to.
Yeah. 314-912. 1019. Got any thoughts on this? Let's talk. We got a few minutes about 12, 13 minutes before Vic Porcelli takes over here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So perhaps my work here is done. Perhaps it's time that I moved on to a place where there's stuff to do. Stuff to do.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Maela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Seavers JCB has amazing deals on JCB mini excavators ranging from 2 tons to 10 tons. It's your choice to take 5 on one of these great offers. 0% financing for 5 years or up to $5,500 cash rebate and a 5-year warranty. See terms and conditions for details, but don't wait too long. These offers are for a limited time at Seavers JCB, and check out their full line of industry-leading JCB equipment. Check them out online at seaversjcb.com.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
As we know, initiative petition reform didn't pass in the Missouri legislation. A lot of things didn't happen. Senator Bill Eigel will be with us, and we'll have to get him in here. Well, that's what we do. He'll join us Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
Might be some good news for criminals in Illinois.
Good news for
Good
criminals?
news. Yeah, more good news.
Okay, yeah.
For criminals in Illinois. Well,
I mean, they've got the Safety Act
right,
already.
but
right?
specifically for their self-esteem in Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make them feel good about being criminals.
Yes, better. At least better. At least not
okay.
as bad.
All right.
About being criminals.
Oh, okay.
And I'm defining a criminal as somebody who broke the law and then got charged and convicted.
Okay, like a full criminal.
Right. Well,
he went the full criminal.
Let's not go too hard here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt their fifis.
That's right. 8:51 right now. I'm
Jeez.
Mike. Got Gabe here. Quentin is in for Stell. Stell's heading up to Chicago and going to, I think it's a wedding that he's going to.
Nice.
So somebody in
Well,
his
safe
family.
travels still.
Yeah. So Stell's going to visit with family over the next few days. He'll be back on Tuesday as well. So Q, thanks for being in, man. Okay. So there's a bill that's passed the Senate and passed the State House in Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah. It in many areas of criminal law and, the related, follow-up parole and all that kind of stuff, it changes how the state refers to criminals.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about official language, the
Official
approved
language,
language
right,
of
the official approved
because language policing is very important
Right.
to policing overall. Right.
Now, keep in mind, like I just said, this has already passed the legislature. This is going to JB Pritzker's
So he
desk.
just needs to sign it.
Right.
Okay.
So if you have committed a crime, you've been caught, you've been prosecuted, you've been found guilty or you admitted and pled guilty
and sentenced, like
so you're convicted.
Right. You're convicted.
Yeah, like
Past
for real.
Tense convicted.
Like full criminal.
You're no longer a criminal. You're no longer a convict.
Okay, that's not what they're called.
No.
Okay, so we can't call them criminals.
You are now assuming this is signed into law. You are a justice impacted individual.
Oh, stop it.
No.
Per
Stop
state
it.
law.
Stop
So a
it.
criminal is now a justice
Impacted individual.
individual. Oh,
See,
individual.
if they ended with a word that started with a consonant, at least they could make a word out of it. You know, it's like justice impacted person. At least you're a jip, I guess, or something. I don't know. It's something.
Yeah.
What you're gonna make me say justice impacted individual every time I talk about somebody who, you know, I don't know, stole a car, shot up a neighborhood, sold some drugs to some kids, touched somebody inappropriately, killed somebody. These aren't criminals.
No.
They are justice impacted individuals.
Yeah, and as though justice jumped around and smacked you in the face.
Well, I hope it would.
Yeah, gave you a gun and gave
Right.
What is happening? What is happening to this world?
And on Rumble just says, "Oh my God, Illinois has lost its mind."
I'm not sure they had it at this point.
Can't wait to get out of Illinois.
It's like,
my goodness.
Run, Q.
This is
Q's
crazy.
coming over to the red side here, so
right.
that's great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, but this is, and it's funny because I saw a video. I think it was either on Clown World or End Wokeness.
Yeah, one of those Twitter accounts.
Elon Musk replied to it, said this is nuts. He gave one of his thing, but they just had clips of the lawmakers, the Democratic lawmakers, talking about where they want to change this and all this sort of thing, and the Republicans are generally just asking these pointed, they're just making fun of you questions.
Okay.
At one point, one of the Republicans says, okay, so in relation to this, on the converse side, are we changing the term victim?
Right.
And they're like, well, no, we're not changing anything, when it comes to.
Are they not impacted by justice?
Injustice. Injustice.
So they're IIIs instead of JIIs. So the
injustice impacted individuals.
Oh my
and but they said, no, we're
they're I cubed. Only I would say that.
But
Okay,
we've
sorry.
talked about this over the years. I mean, if you can control words, you can eventually control language, which is
thought.
I'm sorry, you control words, you eventually control thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this in the public schools. We've seen this in our body politic. I mean, you see it with, for instance, the pronoun nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
People are pushing back against, even on the left.
Gender affirming care, right?
Right.
Remember that this no, you're not affirming a gender. You're actually destroying their gender.
You're doing the opposite.
You're doing the opposite
of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the end goal is. Maybe to not stigmatize criminals or criminal activity. I mean, I don't know what the end goal, other than when you see somebody who says this is how we're going to officially, legally, and illegal, make illegal different references and terms. I mean, sometimes it is about just ridiculous ideology. For instance, members of Congress or something refer to pregnant persons.
Oh, right.
As opposed to
that's
women,
right. Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah. Women are being replaced, by the way.
Yeah. Driving an ideology.
Thank you, feminism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. That just hit me wrong. That hit me wrong.
But it is about controlling thought. And honestly, one of the best things we can do is keep making fun of this.
Yes, absolutely.
To remind everybody how stupid it is. Now,
meme the crap out of it.
Yeah, they're going to. Pritzker's going to sign it into law.
Of course he is. He has to.
Yeah, he's not going to say no to that.
That virtue signal has already gone up.
Yeah,
the beacons of Gondor are lit.
Nerd.
I just don't know. Chicago's changing. They're changing this year.
Oh, you mean they're getting fed up with the garbage?
Don't be surprised if all of a sudden JB comes out like Joe Biden turned around on Israel. Just because they got to save a vote.
What was interesting is I was in Chicago.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, and my wife and I had lunch with one of her colleagues in Chicago, and he's real active in Republican politics up there in the Chicago area. You may say, well, what is there? Well, not much. But he said there are people who actually miss Beetlejuice, the former mayor.
Oh, right. What was her name? Gosh. Yeah, she looked like Beetlejuice.
Because this new one, Johnson, is Yeah,
Lightfoot, yes.
I just think of
Lori Lightfoot.
Lori Lightfoot. They said they actually miss Lori Lightfoot because this new guy is so overtly Marxist. They're like, she was bad, but she's not this bad.
Oh my gosh.
Even some Democrats have said that, and they turned her out in a big way.
Real quick, I disagree too, Ed. I disagree too. I'm just hoping maybe that's the answer. Love these comments.
Oh yeah.
This is great. Thanks, everybody.
All these justice impacted individuals.
$1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday.